show.
Is he not friends with me, or is he not friends with Jim?
Talkback Mike.
Okay, yeah, hit us up on the talkback, Mike. Is he not friends with me, or is he not friends with Jim? So Darnay Trippy will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Chris Hodge will have some free picks for our listeners like he always does on Thursdays as we get ready for the big one tonight. Is it the big one tonight, Bengals-Ravens?
It's a big one.
And it's a big one tonight. Bengals-Ravens tonight on Thursday Night Football. Chris Hodge will get us ready. It's interesting. Yesterday, we'll get into the Aztecs this hour because last night was a lot of fun. We were out there, Viejas Arena, Game 1. We'll talk about it here this hour. But before the game yesterday, when we were outside, we started talking about the Padres budget and payroll. And you made a very good point. We're not going to know. They're not going to have some announcement. Hey, Jim, and hey, Padres fans, we want you to know the budget's $219 million. They're not going to have this big announcement. But Kevin Acee is reporting here today that AJ Preller, Eric Hitzenda, and Eric Grupner will sit down within the week and lay out paths for payroll, which in turn means what they can do with the roster in 2025. It makes sense. All companies do it. I'm sure iHeartRadio has budgets. I'm sure the Padres have budgets as well. He's already writing here, Jim, that their payroll already exceeds $200 million in 2025. This doesn't include a lot of things that we've talked about, like adding starting pitching, et cetera. They were 15th in payroll last year. They're now fiscally responsible in payroll at 15th overall. The question is, do they remain 15th? I mean, the margins matter. Where the Padres won this past year was on the margins with their roster. If they're willing to go on the margins with payroll, a little over the CBT matters. A little under the CBT matters, and that'll be determined, again, behind closed doors. We're not going to know what they determine, but that'll be determined by this group maybe within the next week.
Here's how I view it. I don't know right now. I'm not great with numbers.
No, you're not.
I'm not great with numbers. But I don't know how they can feasibly keep the core together with all these raises while also needing to still add. And that would then bump up the payroll, at least by a little bit, you would think. You know, all your arbitration cases are going to bump up the payroll to begin with. And that's without adding any free agents or re-signing guys or making trades for guys. That's where I'm like kind of a little worried, where if they want to keep it at the same number or hover around the same number, but yet also keep the core together. I'm talking about guys like Dylan Cease, Luis Ariz, bringing back guys like Jurickson Profar, maybe Ha-Seong Kim. We'll talk about that coming up here in a bit. Don't know if he's going to return now, but how are they going to do all that with guys getting pay raises, but then staying around the number that they had this past year?
Right. To your point. So Kevin writes that they exceed $200 million already for 2025. That's a projection. They are projected to be pushing the CBT tax. Nobody knows what the CBT number is yet. He also writes there are numerous avenues for the Padres to lower that number, as in fudge the math, so to speak, when it comes to CBT. But then he says that those totals don't account for adding one starting pitcher and either re-signing or replacing free agent left fielder Jurickson Profar, among other necessary additions. The point is, and we've made this point since the day the season ended, disappointedly, on that Game 5 at Dodger Stadium against LA. The point is that last year it became clear that their path was moving Juan Soto. Whether you agreed with it or not, that was their path. This year, what's clear is they don't have a simple path, and it's not as plain as day how they're going to be able to keep this payroll under the CBT number if that is their ultimate plan, and keep a roster that was as competitive in 2024 in 2025. That to me is becoming abundantly clear. Now, I think there's an easy answer: go over the CBT, but it's not my money. And if they don't do it, then that doesn't solve anything, me saying go over the CBT.
It is an easy answer,
right?
But you know, if they don't do that and they have to sacrifice some guys, I feel like sacrifice.
Right, you got to walk the plank.
Yeah, walk the plank, or as John would say, what would you say the other day?
What did I say? Off with their heads?
Yeah, off with their heads. Yeah.
Or like, would you get on a plane that has a 90% chance of landing?
Off with Dylan Cease's head.
Right.
If they have to sacrifice some players to stay at a number that they feel comfortable with, I'm not cool with that.
Right, because that's at the expense of winning.
Yeah, and that can't be any part of the sentences that I hear going forward. Oh, well, you know, we had to make this move to stay around the budget. well, then you are doing it at the expense of winning. Luis Ariz and Dylan Cease, they should be on this roster next year. 100%. Dylan Cease on the open market is going to get $25 to $30 million. He is a 30-plus start guy. He's a 200-plus inning guy, maybe. 180 inning, mostly.
That's a big number.
200-plus strikeouts.
Yep.
That guy's a player that you want on your team. That's a winning player right there. Luis Ariz is a winning player. If you have to sacrifice any of those players to keep a number at around where you're comfortable with, I got a big problem with that.
It's not that I have a big problem with it. I mean, I completely understand the sentiment. I mean, sports are about making good decisions. Like even in like capped system sports, like NBA or NFL, it's like, are we going to keep Klay Thompson or not? Are we going to extend Steph Curry or not? What are we going to offer Dak Prescott? Like, you always have to make decisions. Of course, you can't have all players. I mean, even the LA Dodgers, arguably, who knows if they could even be in on Juan Soto. Do they have the money? I'm sure they do. But my point is this, that you're going to have to make good decisions. Now, I agree with you, because like, we're not asking the Padres to go out and sign Juan Soto.
No.
Like, that's an unreasonable request. We're not like, how come you're not willing to win at all costs? Because they don't have that money. They don't have $600 million. It's reasonable. Nobody's asking them, other than Ben Fadden. What's up, Ben? To go out and get in on the Juan Soto market. Juan Soto, obviously a pipe dream, and that's fine. I think Padres fans understand it. Blake Snell, I think, is a pipe dream. I think fans understand it. But Jurickson Profar should not be a pipe dream, nor should Luis Ariz. So that's where we're kind of drawing the line. Soto, sure, he can go elsewhere. Everyone gets it. But Luis Ariz, 3-time hit king that you traded for within the last 12 months, why should he have to go so you stay $1 million under the CBT when there's 3.3 million people at Petco Park every single season, which is incredible. So that's my point. I think the fan base has been so darn good. You have to do everything in your power within reason to keep this thing as competitive as possible. And nobody's asking you to go out and sign Juan Soto. You know, like, you don't have to go that level to support this fan base, but you do have to keep Luis Ariz and Dylan Cease and others.
Yeah, you have to make sure that the expense of players don't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And that just can't be the case here. I would hope that with all the sellouts, the winning they've done last year, just the fan base enthusiasm around this team, that they wouldn't be penny pinchers and they wouldn't sit there and say, well, I don't really feel like going to this number. It's not a crazy number. Like you said, it's not jumping the payroll to like $150 more million. Maybe it's $10 more million.
Right.
Maybe it's 15, right? 20. If you said right now $20 million more, okay. Is that going to really cripple the franchise if next year you have a payroll that's $20 million more?
Right. When the valuation of the franchise since being purchased has grown, massively, right? From the purchase price, whatever it was by that group, to where it is today.
And you might have to, if you want to keep this team together or the majority of it together, while also adding pieces that you need to win next year and get over that hump and get to a World Series, maybe the number is $20 million more. You're not doing what you did in 2022. You're not going to that length. You're not signing a guy for $280 million. You're not signing a guy for $350 million. You might sign a guy for $50 million, or another guy for maybe $60 million. Is that going to cripple and destroy the franchise if you happen to go over the CBT again, like by a couple $1 million? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think the reason I think your point is really valid is, like, to your point, these aren't the free spending days of 2022, but in 2022, Jim, with the same ownership, yes, I understand their primary owner has passed, but they have not changed. Ownership has not changed hands. The team has not been sold. So in 2022, the Padres were 5th in payroll in baseball. In 2023, they were 3rd. In 2024, they were 15th. And in 2025, all we're asking is maybe somewhere between the numbers. You don't have to be 3rd or 5th. No. The freewheeling spending days, okay, those can be over. But you don't have to go from 15th to 16th. You can go from 15th to 9th, 15th to 11th, and I'm with you. If it isn't, again, it's not our money. It's easy to say. $20 million is obviously a lot of money, but this is professional sports. And if they can field a more competitive team by spending another $10 to $20 million, that seems like a reasonable request from a fan base that is damn hungry and has been supporting you at a high clip year in and year out throughout the course of the decade. It's a reasonable request.
The worst case scenario is, I guess it's not worst case scenario because they can still win, but I won't feel great about it.
Mm-hmm.
The scenario that I would like the least, I'll go with that. The scenario that I would like the least is if, one, they drop payroll, and two, while dropping payroll, they end up having to trade some players like a Dylan Cease or a Luis Ariz to make sure that they, one, can get some prospects back in the system, and two, keep that number below or right at what they were last year. I would be very upset with that. And I think fans would rightfully so be very upset with that as well.
Right. Trade away today to save some money now to benefit the quote unquote future.
And be like, hey, we got some really nice prospects back for these players and they can help us. And we're,
but you got 32-year-old Manny Machado and 32-year-old Xander Bogaerts on this team. And that's a lot of money. You've tied up $600+ million in 32-year-old Manny Machado and 32-year-old Xander Bogaerts. Therefore, you shouldn't be thinking about 2026. You better be thinking about 2025. You're not going to have a better chance. You didn't have a better chance in 2024. You're not going to have a better chance in 2025, and so on and so forth. It's not easier in 2026 than it is in 2025.
And here's the not dirty little secret, but it's not being talked about, is that the 2026 team right now, that looks bare.
Yeah, that has some questions.
That's
right?
a lot. There's
You're talking
a
about
lot
the
of questions.
And the Kings and all these one-year guys that are signed through 2025. Even Ariz right now is signed through 2025, arbitration guy.
Yeah, that you're like, oh, they have no rotation.
Right. Is that is that a rebuilding like year, or do they have real plans here, extending Kings and Arizes and getting Musgrove healthy, and so on and so forth?
Like we've talked about on the wrap-up show, their rotation in 2026 is Joe Musgrove, a 39-year-old, maybe 40-year-old Yu Darvish, Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, and Matt Waldron.
Yeah. No, there's a long time between now and then, but it's true. There's a lot
of
work.
No Luis Ariz, and a 2-year-older Manny Machado, and a 2-year-older Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, that's why your best chance to win was 2024, which means your next best chance to win is 2025. Now. We'll get your reaction on it if you want to weigh in on that. 70470, start it with team. Should the Padres reasonably spend more? Is that asking too much? 877-767-4760. Is that asking too much? 877-767-4760 or 70470. Start it with team. Impressions from night one for San Diego State men's basketball ahead. Chris Hodge is on the show. Darnay Tripp is on the show. We have Aztec tickets to give away. It's Jon and Jim. Right. Hey, guys, it is Jon and Jim, and we've been telling you about our friends over at Jamul Casino. Tonight's a great night to get out there. Thursday night football, and then every single Monday night throughout the NFL season. Great opportunities to win. They've got great promotions at Jamul. Get there every single Monday night during football season for chances to win big.
Yeah, with 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m., your odds are better than ever. Plus, you can earn entries all month long by playing and getting 2-time entries on Tuesdays, with at least $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win up to $25,000 in cash.
We need to get back to Tony Gwynn Sports Pub because it's just a great spot. We did lunch there, and it was spectacular, and it's a great place to watch sports because of the televisions, and they got great drinks. And if you love Tony Gwynn, which everyone does, you'll love the memorabilia there. Tony Gwynn Sports Memorabilia. They've got great food at Jamul throughout the property, not just Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, but they also have endless dining 5 nights a week, including this Saturday, Surf and Turf Buffet. Make sure to get out there this weekend.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn Sports Pub is a great place to watch a game. Also, a great place to have some really, really, really good food. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, the place to be. Jamul Casino, the place to be. It's fun above all else.
All right, San Diego State, New Mexico, tomorrow night, Snapdragon Stadium. Ben Fletcher and Jared Tolver have pregame at 5:30. Me and Rich have the call 7:30, Snapdragon Stadium. You can hear it right here on your home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Busy day tomorrow. We'll have Jon and Jim into pregame coverage at 5:30.
Yep.
And then really a must-win game for both teams. If you're going to a bowl game, you have to win tomorrow. San Diego State's 3-5. New Mexico is 3-6. We've been talking payroll, and it doesn't surprise me that Dave wants to weigh in when it comes to payroll. So let's start with Dave. If you want to weigh in on the Padres payroll, 877-767-4760. Dave, what's on your mind? Thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, guys. Hey, let's talk weed over at Snapdragon. What kind of weed we going to have in that field so they can play on?
Weed. Oh,
Snapdragon field talk.
Field talk. What do you want to? Listen. You know me, Dave, and you know Jen. We talk a lot about. I don't know anything about fields. I have no idea.
Well, let's talk about the Padres payroll for a second. Okay. So I agree with everything that you said. To put some context into this, the Padres, in my opinion, don't do us any favors in terms of keeping everything so tight-lipped about their finances. And I'm not expecting or asking for a line item accounting. Mm-hmm. But, for example, the Athletic last week had a nice article about, for example, the TV problem. And they disclosed that the Padres had between 45,000 subscribers. So if you do the math on that, given what they've been charging, you're looking at about $5 to $6 million that they possibly received off of that.
Right.
We don't know if there were any rights fees involved, et cetera. I know this is esoteric, but it's very important to understand when you go from a $60 million, $66 million TV contract with Bally's down to that's quite a haircut. When you also factor in the overhead costs for a baseball team, which are always inflated, always ever increasing, we don't know where they're at with that as well. And that's significant. So when you think about, well, why aren't the salaries paying for more income for the players or more salary structure for the next season? A good reason is they've got a lot of other expenses that they're on the hook for too that they don't tell us. So you have to keep all of that in mind, guys. It's not just the ticket revenue that pays for it has to pay for everything.
Dave, thank you. Well, let me say this, Dave, and hopefully you can listen off air. I just read an article on the internet. Have you ever been on the internet? It's always reliable. There was an article just published. No, but I'm being serious here. That the average Major League Baseball team gets 21% of their revenue from TV. So my point is this. The average team gets 79% of their revenue elsewhere. So, yeah, that may be impacting 20% of the bottom line for the Padres. There's no question they've taken a haircut on TV revenue. We've talked about it for 2 years. They have. They're not getting $60 million in TV. They're getting lapped repeatedly by the LA Dodgers in TV revenue. There's no question. But, yeah, the $60 million they used to get from the Bally Sports days, Jim, those days are done. But they have a lot of other revenue sources. Like we do, what do they call it? Like streams of income. Yeah. They got a lot of streams of income. Yeah, maybe one's been taken away from them to some extent, but it's not like it went from $60 million to no money. I'm not convinced of that. There's got to be a way to make up some of that money. And again, their payroll's already gone down. It's gone down a lot. So, okay, the TV money's gone down, but their payroll's gone down a lot.
Yeah. It's the question that you ask, like, okay, what's going to go on with the TV deal?
Yep.
And I am surprised if next year they still roll out Padres.tv
as opposed to something more like locally broadcasted, you're saying?
Yeah, or? Just like this would now be going on what? The 2.5 years of this?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know what the grand plan. Does Major League Baseball have a grand plan? Because there's other teams that are in-house now, right?
Did you see the whole Bally Sports rebrand of FanDuel today? For,
I did.
The Cardinals?
I did, yes.
Is there, I mean.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Nor am I smart enough.
Major League Baseball teams, and maybe.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not here trying to look at the books every night and be like, what is the Padres money situation? And yeah, they'll never show us.
Right.
And you know what? Most teams don't show you either. Because
not in
why?
Baseball.
Why? Not in baseball. Like you have to just kind of do your own research on that to figure out how much money they're making to how much money they're spending to like,
they bring in $200 million in TV and they spend $100 on roster. They're making money.
They're making some money. Yeah. Endorsements, all that stuff like that. Right. but no team is ever going to be like, yeah, our budget is X amount of dollars this offseason. Like, no, they'll probably try to have you read through the lines and be like, our budget this year is probably going to go up, which is great. And thanks to the ownership. And that's all you're going to get.
Yeah, like 619 says, aren't they making money with so many concerts and all the here's the thing. And Dave made a point about overhead. He's like, listen, there's a lot of overhead with the Major League Baseball team. I agree. He's 100% right. But all of the teams have it. The Philadelphia Phillies have overhead. They have staff. They have personnel. And you're right. I bet the cost of running a baseball team is significant. There's no question about it. And to the 619 texter's point, so they have concerts, yes. But how much money are they making? I mean, it's not like by having Billy Joel one night, they've all of a sudden opened up $100 million in spending power. I mean, maybe they do create a couple $1 million when Billy Joel is there. And when they do Gallagher Square, maybe they do create $700,000. You need a lot of $700,000 contracts to go pay for Ha-Seong Kim's $47 million deal.
Look, the team is good.
They are. Yes. Coming off a very good year.
The fans have supported this team through thick and thin for the last 5+ years, right?
And maybe a little longer than that.
Selling out that ballpark. I mean, I don't have the number on top of my head, but how many sellouts have they had in the last 4 seasons?
Since the return of fans after the pandemic, a ton.
They had what? 50,
high percent.
They had in the mid 50s this past year. I want to say 50. I'm just going to guess 56.
That's
sellouts.
huge. And they didn't even have one home game. It was in Korea, like 56 out of 80 or something.
Yeah, and most of the games last year, if it wasn't a sellout, it was like 36,000.
Yeah, or higher
than that. Like that's a lot of that for fans on Wednesday night. Sometimes
right.
like it's
or Wednesday
afternoons or Tuesday nights or Monday nights. Like that's a pretty good number. So they deserve to be rewarded, and they deserve the ownership group, whoever that is. I know Eric Cosenda's name's on that list, but whoever's writing the checks, they deserve to try and reward the fans. You can't sit here and be penny pinchers going forward because of how lopsided the books were 2 years ago because of all the money they spent and how they didn't win at all. Like
is that still being paid off? Remember the loans? We always heard about they took out a loan.
I don't know, John.
But that I wonder about too. Like they took out loans.
Yeah.
Within the last like year or two. If you take out loans, are you the type of now I think there's people that do this. There's people that go in debt and then they get another credit card. And they have a lot of credit card bills to pay off. But does a organization take out loans to then go over the tax threshold? Like, answer that question in your head. To me, they don't. You don't take out loans. And this wasn't a $1 million loan. They took out multiple $50 million loans. They were denied, I think, a $50 million loan as well. The way I remember it, when we talked about it back in the day, I think Darren was here. We were talking about that. And, I mean, that was a big talking point. Yeah. That was within the last 18 months. 20 months. So like if you took out loans within the last 18 or 20 months, big money loans, tens of millions, is this the year you're going over the CBT? And again, I hope they do. I hope they're I'm not asking them to just put all the money on a credit card and see what happens. That's not the goal. That's not a well-run organization, but I am asking them to make sure they can field a comparable roster to 2024 in 2025.
And if they don't go over the CBT, then you better damn well get close to it.
Right. You better be pushing up to that thing by $100,000.
You better be right at the line.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to see, oh, well, they have, how many tens of millions of dollars before they hit that threshold? Like,
I don't know.
And oh, by the way, we just traded Luis Ariz for some prospects because we didn't, like the thought of giving him $15 million for just 1 year instead of getting a long-term contract done with him. Like, I am very, very curious the next couple of weeks here, maybe months, what they do. And if they decide to take a tiny step back,
not a good look.
Not a good look.
Not a good look.
Not a good look. It cannot be anywhere perceived this offseason that it seemed like you took a step back as far as your payroll goes and as far as like going out and signing players or making trades. You cannot show your fan base like that at all. What happened this past year, they showed up. They've shown up for the last 3 seasons plus, like filling that stadium every single night, 40,000 plus fans. You cannot be viewed as taking a step back here.
Do you want to see them go over the CBT this year to keep this thing together? It might take going over the CBT. Are you in favor of that, Padres fans? Why or why not?
It's not my money.
70470 started with team. You're right.
It didn't affect my life in 2022 when they went over.
Blew through everything. 877-767-4760. But are we seeing the repercussions of it on the other side? I don't know.
I don't know
Maybe,
either.
but they went from 3rd in payroll to 15th.
They won 93 games last year.
That's true. That's not much of a repercussion. All right, we'll continue that conversation. Plus impressions from night one at Viejas Arena next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Progressive. We'll start with the Aztecs last night getting their first win of the year against UCSD, 63-58. Miles Bird with 20 points in the win. Tonight is the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with Rich John and Coach Lewis starting at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Bronny James, Brent, was just sent down to the G League today. He appeared in only 3 games for the Lakers this season, scoring only 1 basket. And tonight, NFL Thursday Night Football, Bengals and Ravens, 5:15 kickoff in Baltimore. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, and ATV and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com. That's progressive.com.
This developing news from Kevin Acee. Jon and Jim back with you. We have San Diego State tickets to give away.
I thought the developing news started with Jon and Jim.
No, I would call this developing news. The Padres would like to have Jurickson Profar back. That's not the developing news. But he's testing free agency. This is from Kevin Acee at this hour in the UT. And people around the league and at least somewhat familiar with the thinking of both sides believe it is unlikely Profar returns to San Diego. That's Kevin Acee. Sources from both sides are somewhat familiar with the thinking of both sides believe it is unlikely Profar returns to San Diego. Multiple projections have Profar making between $12 and $16 million a year on a 3-year deal. So, I mean, that would be the first real shoe to drop. When we talk about keeping this thing together, try to bring back as much of what you can from the 93 win team. We understand you don't bring it all back. Nobody's saying you have to bring it all back. But Jurickson Profar was a big piece. And, of course, there'd be interest in him, Jim, because he had a nice year. But that's the first I've read that there's a belief that it's unlikely for him to return.
Remember when you said, no way could he make $15 million a year?
I did say that.
Well, these are just projections.
Yeah.
I know that. And
I still feel like
obviously
that's high.
Kevin's been wrong before, but the industry may be saying otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Like for what he did last year, a 31-year-old player who you could view as maybe have turned a corner in his career. I don't think he'll ever be that guy that hits 280 ever again, because he never even got close to that for any other season in his career.
Right. So maybe it's a good time to walk.
And it's a good time for him to get his money.
Right.
So you could look at this from both ways. If they lose Jurickson Profar, that's a major bummer in my opinion. But for losing him for $15 to $16 million a year, that's almost like, thank you. We appreciate what we did here. Good luck in your future endeavors. Because that would be, I think, bad business to give Jurickson Profar that much money based off his last season, because last season was a career year. And you see when guys have career years and they cash out, they don't really get back to that quote unquote career year again.
Right. Kevin, so I'm just looking at some of these roster decisions they have. Okay. He also writes the likelihood of the Padres reaching a multi-year deal soon with Michael King seems low. He's due to make between $8 and $11 million in 2025 on a multi-year deal, should command somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 million per year. Michael King, we've talked about that. They're believed to have interest in Roki Sasaki, but I'm believed to have interest in eating dinner. Team should have interest in Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, I'm interested in drinking water
today.
Yeah,
so he's a guy that's going to come over affordably because of his age. Therefore, once he is posted, if he is posted from Japan, a number of teams will be in on him. But again, King, extension, maybe unlikely in the near term. Jurickson Profar, I think the news there is that people around the league and at least somewhat familiar with the thinking of both sides believe it is unlikely Profar returns to San Diego. That's news to me, and that's significant. I didn't realize that Preller said this yesterday, Jim. I believe this was yesterday in the Zoom. This is about Arise. He says he's going to go out and rake. Preller said when asked about the value Arise provides in his final year of arbitration eligibility. Then he said this. The question I think for him is going to be, does he tighten it up and can he take the on-base percentage higher? AJ Preller said that yesterday to the media. Almost kind of the reason I bring it up, it's almost like saying, well, you're arbitration eligible. We're asking you to do something you haven't yet done. Is that setting up a situation where you don't want to pay him what he's owed in arbitration?
that could be foreshadowing. Yeah,
Doesn't that? But which they never do.
They never do. They never go to arbitration cases. They always settle before the case.
Under Preller, that has been the MO of the organization. But
one player.
But if the organization is tightening its belt, so to speak, and if they need an extra 2 or 3, like where are you going to find it? I need $2 million here. I need $3 million there.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not a bad thing to be like, hey, look, we love you here. We think obviously you're one of the best hitters in the game. You've won 3 straight batting titles, excuse me. but no one's perfect. And we view you as a guy that we would like to see more from an on-base percentage standpoint, because you never walk and your on-base percentage is completely tied to your batting average.
Right.
Like, if you have a high batting average, that's great. But if you hit around 300, your on-base percentage is probably going to be around 300. And for us,
that's not good enough.
That's not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand. I mean, but this is why we've spent a good amount of this early offseason saying, I don't think it's a guarantee. The Luis Ariz thing is interesting because do you want him long-term? If he doesn't raise his on base, is he worth tell me the number, $15 million a year long-term? What if he doesn't hit 1 year? Then he's really not getting on base. Do you want him for 1 year? Would you, so there's these questions. Jurickson Profar, I mean, to your point, I didn't think he would get $15 million a year. I still don't, but you're right. It's whatever the market bears is what he's going to get. He should get what the market deems he's worth. I think at the end of the day, he's not going to get that. And he's going to come back here and say, you know what? The Nationals are offering me 10 and a half a year. Why don't I just take the 9 or 10 from the Padres per year? Why am I taking $10.5 million from the Nationals when I've played my best baseball in my career here and I can take 10 here? I'm really going to go to the Nats for another $500,000 a year. Now, if it's $15 million, you go take your $15 million. I need to see it. What's the team offering $45 million to Jurickson Profar in his 30s coming off a career year?
Someone might do it.
Yeah, someone may. That's the whole point of free agency.
Yeah. And they didn't put a qualifying offer on him. They did not put a qualifying offer on Ha-Seong Kim, which, by the way,
I don't blame them.
Reports are that the Giants are heavily interested in signing Ha-Seong Kim. Shocker. Sky is blue.
Yeah. And again, I'm kind of cool with it. Like, you got to know when to fold your hand. Like, I'm not paying Ha-Seong Kim $18 million, just like I wouldn't pay Jurickson Profar $16 million.
Yeah.
It's not to say they're not good players. It's to say there's a worth and a value.
Right.
And you have to make it.
Yeah. And it's a tough pill to swallow to see a guy that you want back, but you're just not willing to go that. And I actually would applaud the organization if they did that, because they aren't going out and signing a guy just because, you have some maybe pressure from the fan base or that internal pressure of, well, he did really well here and we're trying to quote unquote run this thing back a little bit. And well, let's just give him the $15 million a year. No, the smart thing is have a number, set it, know the guy's worth internally. And if he goes on the open market and someone gives him 15 million and you were targeting him for like 9 to 10 million, then you say, thank you, good luck, and we wish you well.
Yeah, exactly. There's multiple ways to play poker and win, and you don't have to always be aggressive.
And it sucks. It sucks. You don't have a limited funds.
You want to keep all the players, but you understand that's not how the real world operates.
But also, like you said to start the show, Jurickson Profar ain't Juan Soto. If you lost out Juan Soto because of an extra $5 million AAV, then I'm livid.
This is right in the wheelhouse of our conversation. Like, how far are you willing to reach for players that helped you win 93 games, whether it's a Rise multi-year deal or Jurickson Profar returning, so on and so forth. All right, our thoughts on night one for San Diego State, a win over UC San Diego. We'll give away tickets for Tuesday night, the Aztecs' second home game coming up on Tuesday. We'll give those away next. Chris Hodge has free NFL and college picks for our listeners at 4:30. Friend of the show, according to us, darn a trip on the Padres and the Aztecs.
According to
he
us.
will join us at 5 p.m. We're just underway. It's Jon and Jim. All right, make sure to for some reason, Jim is now eating healthy. It's kind of bearing the lead. We'll get into it. Make sure to catch the Sean Lewis Coaches Show tonight at 6. Maybe when you have a kidney stone in your 30s, that should spur you on to eating strawberry.
Only like 7 months.
Yeah. We're sitting down with head coach of the Aztecs tonight at 6 to look back at the loss at Boise and to preview tomorrow night against New Mexico. The Sean Lewis Show right here. And you'll have the Aztecs tonight at 6. San Diego Sports 766.
So how long does it last? Today's the 7th.
So he's the weekend. He bought a
soda by
lunchbox.
like 14.
You remind me of Joe. So Joe's
Eating somewhere food.
Yeah. Honestly, he's fixing food every day. So who spurred this on? I mean, you said I'm spending too much money or I want to get healthier.
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I think I just like caught myself. You know when you don't, you just don't eat. Like you're just doing a lot, and also you're like, and to just like kind of keep something in your system.
Yes.
This is like
the story of your life.
and
Mine,
sometimes
so
you're
it is.
yeah,
I will have one.
but I just my mood was not good. Like I was getting upset really easy at things. Yeah. And a lot of it I think had to do with what I was eating. And so I kind of had a like moment where I said, all right, I need to like be on a schedule of having a consistent lunch every day, or at least consistent food, and not sit there and not eat for 7 hours at a time, just snack my way through the day.
So you bought a lunchbox?
I bought a lunchbox. It's a really nice lunchbox, by the way.
What'd you do? You went to Amazon? You're like, let me get a lunchbox?
Yeah, as
Yeah.
you do with everything.
True.
You go to Amazon for everything.
Did you buy it and you're like, things to put in my lunchbox, Amazon, and they sent you fruit?
You
And
should have went to that comic book store and got the X-Men one.
That'd have been cool. This one's like a
Get a
insulated.
thermos in it.
right.
It's like a insulated
Keeps it
lunchbox,
cool or hot.
and you just put like a little ice pack in there.
So Brent does bring up a good point. I mean, is this the new gym, or will this change when you're looking for Chick-fil-A?
well, it's not going to be every day. Like there'll be some days, like yesterday. I didn't have time to do all this stuff because we're at San Diego State,
Right.
and I had to come here. So I went to Rubio's and I just got like a Rubio's bowl, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's not every day. I'm trying to cut down on my spending of food per week. So if it's like right now, if it's one time per week, it's okay. But before it was like 4 to 5 times a week, I would go out and spend money on food for lunch.
Yeah, this is a thing that I feel like most people deal with. There's times in life where you spend a lot on food during the day, and there's other times in life where you're like bringing food from home
Yeah.
or being more responsible with it. Or to your point, I think everyone realizes eating at home is healthier than eating out. I think by and large.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're really finding healthy options when eating out, which is
Yeah.
possible, but also expensive. So we will keep you updated on Jim's daily eating.
So what I did, because Erin does this, and I'm copying her. She, meal preps on Sundays for the week. And it's not like anything crazy. It's not like some crazy meal prep thing where you see people do the meal preps and they have like their whole entire table is filled with like chicken and rice and veggies, and they like this whole day of like cooking and stuff. Like it's very simple. At Trader Joe's, get like a salad, get like a little protein, and then got some fruit, got some cheese, got a little like chocolate candy thing. We're good to go.
I would literally
I give it till about the week before Thanksgiving.
I would literally never, ever prep anything food related in my entire life. I've never once thought earlier in the day about what I'm going to eat later in the day.
Yeah, I don't do that either. Really.
I've never once been like, oh, maybe for dinner, I should cut up some tofu this morning and get it ready. Never. I get home, I open the fridge. Is there food?
Yeah, I do that a lot.
I know. We're different.
So,
Okay, here's what I want to remind
John's
people
so
of.
over it.
Here's what I want to remind people of, because I said we were going to give away Aztec tickets, and we will in the next 5 minutes. And I also want to make mention of last night, San Diego State's opener against UC San Diego. And I thought there were a lot of encouraging things for a team that basically has not played together with all the new pieces between last year and this year. And Miles Bird, the third-year Aztec, completely put on a show. He had one of the more unique box score totals you'll ever see in a game, ever. And I said that post game just because it was in my head, and then it was proven to be true. He did something that's only been done once in the last 10 years by anyone in college basketball, which is 20 points, 8 rebounds, 5 steals, 4 blocks. That's only been done one time in any game by anyone in the last 10 years. So I thought Miles Byrd carried the day. I thought Nick Boyd was really good late. And this was no guarantee, Jim. You watched it. This game was on ice. This game was going back and forth. They trailed by 5 with under 8 minutes to play, but they found a way to win it, and they couldn't lose it. So thankfully, they found a way to win it.
Yeah, I was getting a little worried there.
Me too.
But when their defense needed it the most and they needed to go on a little bit of a run, when they were down 5, I think they went on a 12-0 run. Or no?
They did.
Yeah.
No, they did.
They went on a 12-0 run after they went down 5. Their defense stepped up. There's going to be some growing pains with this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a perfect product by any means. Like the Gonzaga game now scares the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
The NIL tournament's going to be scary as well. But hopefully they can get better and better going forward. So by the time they get in conference play, you're not dealing with the same growing pains you are right now. It was a typical Aztec game last night. Can't really shoot. Scoring is at a premium, and they played good defense when they needed to.
Yeah, UC San Diego shot 32%. That's basically the formula for San Diego State to win. Aztecs out-rebounded UC San Diego. And, man, Miles Byrd just keeps getting better. BJ Davis scored 11 points in the game. I thought that was great. Nick Boyd, again, he was in a boot all summer.
Earson Demir's favorite player.
Yes, one of our draft analysts loves BJ Davis. He mentioned him last April. He's already been talking about him this year.
I know.
Off one game. So, again, room for improvement. Yes, you always want to learn off a win. You know, I mean, you can learn off a loss, but you'd prefer to learn off a win. They'll get Occidental on Tuesday, non-D1 game back at Viejas Arena, and we have tickets to give away for that. We'll do it momentarily, but good crowd, sold-out building, banner-raising night, the Sweet 16 banner. And there's just something about the building. I'll say this about night 1, too. It's not always the greatest indicator. Everyone's nervous. Everyone's in a new uniform. By and large, for San Diego State, Wayne McKinney's in a new uniform. Jared Coleman-Jones. Magoon Guath had never played college basketball until last night. How many
blocks did he have last night?
Well, he had 4 in the first half. How about this? He had 4 in the first half, but he finished with 3 because they moved one of them from him to Taj DeGorville. But he impacted the game in the first 5 minutes. He had 3 blocks.
If Miles Byrd, and I'm not expecting him to go out there and put up that stat line every game.
No, it'd be nice.
It'd be very nice.
Yeah. 28, 5, 4, 3.
But if this is the jump that he's going to make with the aggressiveness last night, the 3-point shooting, his defense was incredible. His playmaking ability, rebounding ability. Like, if that is the jump he has made this year and he can be somewhat consistent with it, and he can be a 12 to 15 point per game scorer, that's huge.
Yeah, with 6 rebounds and 3 assists.
That's huge.
A couple of steals, couple of blocks.
I was putting him around like the 9-10 point range. He can give you 14 a game, 13 a game.
No, you're right.
That's big.
I'm with you.
Musgrove was there last night, wasn't he?
He was. He sat behind me. Now, you know me. I am very...
You didn't talk to him at all.
Yeah, I'm
very
very
come on the
tepid.
show.
Listen, I thought literally he was doing nothing and I was doing nothing, and most normal human beings would have gone up to him and said hello. And like, this is the 3rd time Joe Musgrove has sat 1 foot behind me, and I've said absolutely nothing.
Jim, every time CBS Sports does a game and Avery Johnson does it, I go, John, you should get Avery Johnson on the show.
And every time I don't
and
talk
every
to
time
him.
he won't talk.
I'm
to
not
him.
good with introducing myself to
It's
people.
the most awkward thing in the world.
Yeah. So, and
I
he
understand.
was drinking a beer. Dude, he's such a big Aztec supporter, right? He committed there before signing with the Blue Jays, was it? Out of high school?
Sure. Go with that.
But he's had committed to San Diego. So he's such a big Aztec supporter. He's such a great ambassador for the Padres and just San Diego in general. But I left him alone. Enough people bothered him. So I left him alone. If you want to go Tuesday night, we have 2 free tickets. All you need to do is call right now. Caller 7, you are going. Tuesday night, back at Viejas Arena for the men against Occidental. 2 free tickets to caller 7, 877-767-4760. Call right now if you want 2 free tickets to Tuesday night's Aztecs game at Viejas Arena. 877-767-4760. Pick up the phone and call right now. We'll get to the wrap on the other side. We have free picks for our listeners from Chris Hodge at 4:30. Hour 2 of Jon and Jim is next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Progressive. Last night, San Diego State picked up their first win of the year in their home opener. They beat UC SD 63-58. Miles Berg with a career night, scoring 20 points in the win. Tonight is the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with Rich John and Coach Lewis starting at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. NBA news of the day. Bronny James has been sent down to the G League. He appeared in only 3 games for the Lakers this season, scoring only 2 points. And tonight, NFL Thursday Night Football, Bengals at Ravens, 5:15 kickoff in Baltimore. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We will give away more Aztec tickets this hour during Trainwreck Radio. That's coming up at the end of the hour. Chris Hodge taking Vegas as free picks for our listeners. I wasn't here, I want to say, last week. He joined you and went 2-0.
Yeah, he was in on the bit,
That
too.
was Dodger Day.
That was Dodger Day.
Where we didn't say the word Dodgers.
Now, he did say the word Dodgers, but he didn't reference the World Series at all.
Right. There was no World Series reference until 25 seconds remained in the show.
How did I do that?
During Backpage, he said, oh, by the way, the Dodgers won their first legit World Series since 88. We'll see you Monday. That's iconic.
Yeah.
Now, did anyone care? Did it get picked up by Awful Announcing? Did it end up in The Athletic? Is it in the New York Times? No.
Yeah, petty San Diego radio show.
I wish it did.
Doesn't mention Dodgers World Series championship
for the entire show the day after they won it.
Right. Yeah.
But no, we get no credit.
Yeah, we were those guys. We're the petty guys.
Sure. We're the petty guys that get no credit. So Chris Hodge will join us at 4:30. Darnay Tripp will join us at 5. We do have the Sean Lewis Show coming up at 6. We have Friday Night Football tomorrow night, pregame coverage beginning at 5:30. What are you going to do with all your off time tomorrow? Because normally you don't leave here until 6. But tomorrow the Jon and Jim Show ends at 5:30. You go to the zoo with all the extra time? Or are you going to
my extra time?
You have 30 minutes. You're not on the air tomorrow.
Okay.
Eat more cheese sticks and
You're
fruit.
going to go home? See Aaron?
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
else would I go?
You tell me. I don't know. You have something you want to tell the audience? Are you going to watch the game tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Did you watch last night?
Yes.
Did you listen or watch?
Both. Combo of both.
Okay. All right.
Combination. Listening to Teddy on the way home, turning your voice on, something that I hear every single day
You
for
hear
3
way
hours.
too much of it.
Way too much.
And it's good to hear Teddy back on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uncle Teddy?
Uncle Teddy.
30th year. Calling
Yep,
San Diego
it's a
State.
long time.
Basketball games. All right. We'll get to Chris Hodge at 4:30. Darnay Tripp at 5. Our text line is open, 70470. Start it with team. And right now, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Should the Padres go over the CBT in 2025?
Fine with me.
Right.
I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you know what? Actually, I think they should stay under the CBT. No,
Spend less.
Yeah, spend less, guys. Cut payroll more. Every fan of every team, if you said, hey, would you be okay if your team went over the CBT? I bet you a lot of them would say, what's a CBT? And then the other people that know what the CBT number is, we go, yeah, absolutely.
I am completely cool with it because they may need to do it to field a team that may hopefully vie for something. You're trying to compete in a division that's hard to compete in. It's always hard to win at the highest level. I mean, to win a World Series, you're competing with everyone. But in this division, you're trying to put yourself in a position where you can win 90-plus games. And they did do it this past year with this group. To get a group like this back, and you do it by spending less money? No, arguably you might have to spend more money to do it. I'm cool with it. Nobody's saying blow through the CBT number by $50 million per year. But if you have to go over, I say go over.
But here's the thing about us saying, yeah, if you got to go over, you got to go over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying to go out there and just spend money to spend money.
I agree.
Go out there and spend smart money. That's been a big problem for AJ Preller over the years. And last year was the first year that you could say, wow, he actually went out and spent smart money and made smart trades, and it really all paid off for him. Like, there was not one deal last year, trade-wise or free agent-wise, that I viewed as a massive, massive overpay. Maybe a couple little overpays here and there, but nothing egregious.
It's hard to have a massive overpay when ownership puts you in a position where you can't even spend at that high level.
True.
So it's almost like when you have the microscope on you, you have to be more fine-tuned, and he was able to execute on that in 2024. Next question.
Someone on chat said Jim can use that extra time to pack his lunchbox.
I need some extra time to pack my
from 5:30 on Friday. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Friday, you can get it ready for Monday.
Yes,
There you go.
I like it.
I also don't like having food prepared days in advance. I'm like, is that food okay still? Like if I'm cutting
It's cooked.
my strawberry on a Sunday and eating it on a Friday, no, I'm not doing it.
I don't do that. I cut my fruit.
I'm not a psycho.
I cut my fruit day of, morning of.
Okay.
I
What
don't-
are you cutting though on a Sunday that you're eating on a Thursday, for example?
Nothing. So this week, my meal
Mhm.
was chicken pesto garlic meatballs.
Chicken pesto.
That's
garlic
fancy.
meatballs. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
it's they sell them at Trader Joe's already cooked. All you gotta do is put them in the air fryer for
Okay.
like 7 minutes.
Okay.
Then it cooks them
So you
even more.
you cook them, prepared them, and then had them for the next day.
Yeah. So I cooked the meatballs.
Yep.
And I put the meatballs away. And then the day of, so like this morning, took the meatballs out. I have, I think, like 16 meatballs. I've been doing 4 a day. Take out 4 meatballs, put a little pesto in the container, shake up the container with the pesto and the meatballs. Boom, how you doing?
Why don't we
Jim's gonna get
pretend-
one of those little medical pill containers and just put a meatball in every
Monday,
day of
Tuesday,
the
Wednesday,
week.
Thursday. That's hilarious. Why
Pop
don't
a
we
meatball.
pretend like the 16 meatballs are the money they have? You get 1 meatball for Bogarts. You get 2 meatballs. The problem is they spent 11 meatballs on Bogarts.
Yeah.
Someone put in the chat, trade Bogey for a new lunchbox. Yeah, he cost us too many meatballs.
I like my lunchbox, all right?
Apparently.
It's a nice lunchbox.
Next question.
Will the Aztecs win 20 games this season? The basketball team, not football team.
Well,
can't.
no football team has ever won 20 games.
That'd be amazing.
How big are Jim's meatballs? How you doing? Pause. Can I say too early to say on the Aztecs?
No.
Okay. How many games they play this year in total?
19. They'll play 30 with at least the conference tournament. They'll play 30 plus.
I think they can win 20. Like if they get to like 20 and 11, I think they could do
Yeah,
that.
something like that. It's hard because of the non-conference we've talked about. Like, there's no
Yeah.
guarantees in the Gonzaga or the Vegas event.
Right.
There's no guarantees anywhere there. So that's 3 or 4 games where you have no guarantees. Plus, you're playing games like at Boise. That's hard.
Yeah.
Or at the Pit against New Mexico. That's also a challenge. So there's tough games in there. I'm with you. I mean, I trust the process of Brian Dutcher always gets there. And this team, I think, is actually at 19 or more wins like for 20 straight years.
Yeah.
So because of that, yeah, I'll bank on them. To your point, like, is it 20 and 10, somewhere in that range? I think they can get to 20 this year. And they hopefully will get their second on Tuesday night against Occidental.
That'd be
Next,
nice.
next question. That's part of the 20. That's part of the formula
I
to
know,
get there.
I know.
How many points do you think Bronny James will average in the G League?
Well, at least they'll get consistent playing time now. So
So the plan is only going to play home games in the G League?
I did not see the plan because I didn't care really much.
Yeah, the plan is for him to play home games,
Why?
not travel. Probably because it would be a circus, a sideshow. He's going to like go back and I don't know what the rules are on going up and down like in the majors, but I think when the team's at home, he'll primarily be in the G League. I think when the team's on the road, I don't know if it's training or up, but he'll primarily play in the G League at home.
So wait, the G League team or the Lakers?
He'll primarily play for the G League team, and the G League team, the South Bay Lakers, are at home.
So if the Lakers are the Lakers at home and the G League team's away, then Bronny's going to be called up to the
Maybe
NBA
I don't know
team?
what the rules are on that. I don't know what the rules are.
Dude,
I can read
get
the
this
article.
kid as much playing time as possible. Why?
Just
why
keep
are
him in the G
we,
League.
why are we like creating a circus? You're creating a circus by having these special rules and special things for Bronny.
Here we
Just
go.
let him play.
The organization's current plan is for James to play in only G League home games as he shuttles between the Lakers and South Bay. So I think it's stupid. I'm
I
with
think
you.
it's stupid too.
Again, when you start making up rules in professional sports, you've created all kinds of problems. Are the Padres taking Leo DeVries and saying, you know what? When San Antonio's at home, you're going to play for the Missions, and otherwise you're going to be in Arizona. No, don't get cute here. Develop the player the way he needs to be developed. Are they? By the way, he's now teammates with the former Aztec from last year, Jay Powell. Are they doing this with Jay Powell? No, he's playing for the team. You're either on the team or you're not. If he warrants a promotion, then put him up. If there's an injury and he needs to be up, put him up. If the season ends, put him up. But right now, he needs to be developed.
It just makes it look even worse and worse and worse
Yeah, all
every
these
day that goes
rules.
by. That dude's got a guaranteed contract, And he would not have gotten any of this if his name wasn't Bronny James.
He's not playing. He's not scoring.
He's not doing anything.
He's not
sitting
developed.
there. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Next question.
Who's going to win tonight's Thursday night football game?
This is actually a low-key,
really good game, right?
Yeah.
For
Important
Thursday
game.
night, it's an
It is
amazing
a really
game.
good game.
Yeah.
Yes. Bengals-Ravens is a really good game.
And it's important, too.
It is.
Um,
It's in Baltimore, right?
It's in Baltimore. Ravens are busting out their purple helmets,
Oh, I saw those. Those are so cool with the nouveau bird on the side.
like the old school. I think it's
He's
like
a fierce raven.
I think it's like their throwback
Do they
logo.
have a throwback?
They do have throwback logos.
I don't remember that back
When
in
they-
the day.
Look up their first ever jerseys
Ravens?
when they moved.
Okay, yeah, I kind of remember that.
And they had huge
Yeah, birds on the side.
birds on their helmets. Not the like
Yeah.
sleek ones
Right.
they used to have.
Yeah, like this dude.
Kinda. Yeah. It wasn't the Ravens.
Their
logo
new helmet
now.
is awesome.
And
Yeah,
tonight
that was their OG logo.
I'm gonna take the Ravens at home. Ravens at home. Lamar Jackson is playing a freaking different level right now. He can win another MVP this year, his third in his career, and people will still say he sucks.
Yeah, they will definitely say that if he doesn't win in the postseason. Do you know why the Ravens are named the Ravens? This may not be the question that you asked, but I'm going to ask a question to the question. Not for Brent. I feel like Brent might be able to figure this out. Don't look it up, Brent. Jim, do you know why the Ravens are named the Ravens? Do you know what state Baltimore's in? Let's start there.
Maryland.
Good job. Now let's go further. Why are the Ravens named the Ravens?
Is that like the state bird?
That's a good guess. Edgar Allan Poe,
That was my guess.
both the Raven Nevermore, died in Baltimore. I don't know if he was born there, but he lived there, is my point. He
They have
lived
like
in Baltimore.
statues and stuff.
Didn't know that.
More you know.
Aaron probably could have guessed that because she lived in Maryland.
Oh,
for a
great.
while.
Maybe just bring her on. She can do
about-
6 to 9 p.m.
Perfect. John.
The Lunchbox show.
How about
Bring your lunch pail.
how about John and Aaron? Screw me, right?
No, how about Jim and Aaron?
That would be interesting.
That'd be a really interesting show. Hey, let's talk Niners. Hey, let's talk Eagles. Anyway,
Yeah.
what was the question? Was that the last question?
Now, who wins tonight?
Yeah, that's the last one.
Ravens at home win.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just so good. They started 0-2 and now they're cruising. They might be the best team in the NFL, but they have to win in the postseason.
You think the Ravens are the best team in the NFL?
I'm just saying they might be. But don't you think because the Chiefs are kind of skating by?
I think the Lions are the best team in the
Okay,
NFL.
maybe the best team in the AFC.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
I can see that.
So maybe a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
I can see that. Ravens secondary is awful though, but yeah, they have weapons on that team. Zay Flowers, Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing. Good job, Cowboys, not to sign him. And then Lamar Jackson's on his way to winning a second straight MVP award.
All right, on the other side, we have Aztec basketball tickets
shoot.
to give away.
Ha.
Plus, you, Chris Hodge from Taking Vegas has free picks for our listeners at 4:30. Plus, further reaction to Kevin Acey's reporting. Is Jurickson Profar likely gone in 2025? That's next. All right, hey guys, us again, Jon and Jim, and you know about our friends over at Hamul Casino. It's a great spot to get to throughout this football season. Tonight's a great night, Thursday Night Football, that great game we were talking about between the Bengals and the Ravens. Get out to Hamul and get there every Monday for Monday Night Football because you've got chances to win big every Monday throughout the football season at Hamul.
Yeah, with 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. Your odds are better than ever. Plus, you can earn entries all month long by playing and getting two-time entries on Tuesdays with at least $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win to $25,000 in cash.
You're going to love Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. Trust us, we've been there. They have Tony Gwynn Sports memorabilia, which is super cool. They have awesome food, lunch, dinner, great drinks, huge selections, all the games on television, obviously there. And they've got great food in general at Hamul Casino, and they have endless dining going on right now. 5 nights a week. If you get there this weekend, like on Saturday, check out their incredible surf and turf buffet.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. It's a great place to be. Great vibe, great atmosphere. The food is fantastic. They have every single sporting event that you would want to watch. Get to Amul Casino today. It's fun above all else.
All right, Chris Hodge taking Vegas in 10 minutes. More chances to win Aztec tickets for Tuesday night coming up this hour. Now, Jim just made me aware that Juan Soto will meet with the Major League Baseball team who is not the New York Yankees. Who is that? When?
The owner of the Mets is who, John?
Steve Cohen.
Steve Cohen is set to meet with Juan Soto and Scott Boras this coming week in California, in Los Angeles.
Well, that makes sense. So, first of all, Steve Cohen is one of the richest owners in the sport of Major League Baseball. The Mets have, at times, under his ownership, spent as much as any team in the sport. They have said to have a desire to be aggressive. Is this gamesmanship with Boras? Would Juan Soto go to the Mets? In New York, man, the dynamic's interesting. There's a big drop-off. There's a big difference.
Yep.
Yankees Mets is a big. Now, if they're going to pay $650 and the Yankees are paying $525, he's gone.
He would absolutely 100% go to the Mets.
But would he go over the Yankees if all things were comparable?
I
don't know.
Don't know about that one. But you know Steve Cohen, he ain't going to make it a comparable offer.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe.
So
too good to say no to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me if you think this is a real person, John.
Steve Cohen?
Mike Puma.
Yeah, of course.
You know Mike Puma?
Who doesn't? He's the owner of the Puma shoe brand.
Now
No, who's Mike Puma?
Mike Puma works at the New York Post. He is the person that reported on this story that got picked up nationally.
Roar.
And then also SNY.
Yeah.
Also is reported on this as well. Yeah, Steve Cohen is going to meet with Juan Soto, Scott Boras in Southern California next week.
Over under on teams he meets with in person that are reported this offseason.
Over under 3.
Over. He will meet with the Dodgers, in my estimation. He will meet with the Yankees, obviously. He'll meet with the Mets. The mystery team is Tampa Bay. That's what freaked Ben Fadden out earlier today. So what did Ben say earlier today? Hold on. That John Heyman reported that the Rays have like an interest in talking with Juan Soto. Dude, Rays, you're not part of it. Like you're not getting Juan Soto. Sorry, you're not being considered. You're just
I saw a funny tweet, like quote tweeted that.
Yeah.
And someone said, "Yeah, I've checked in with Sydney Sweeney."
Like, she said no.
She said
exactly.
like it's not happening, dude.
Right. So the mystery or surprise team, according to John Heyman, is that the Rays have called about Juan Soto. Okay. There's no world that we live in that has Juan Soto playing for the Tampa Bay Rays. I know that. So we can move on from that. But the Mets is interesting because they're a real player. It's not like the only players the Yankees. And by the way, you don't get the right price if you're Boras you can't have one buyer.
Wasn't it what was the deal that Steve Cohen got done on like a napkin in Hawaii?
Yeah, I remember that.
Was that the Scherzer deal?
Maybe.
With Scott Boras? He wrote something on it. He wrote like the deal on a napkin.
I do remember that being reported by the media. Brian, are you looking that up? Maybe. And that was a huge AAV deal.
Yeah.
Huge.
I forget who it was for though. Or was it Lindor? I forget who it was.
I feel like Lindor.
I just remember there was a Steve Cohen, Scott Boras transaction that he got done while in Hawaii vacationing, and he wrote all the details down like on a napkin at a bar.
Oh man. Yeah.
Who was it? Who's that player? It's either Scherzer or Lindor or I can't think.
Someone have it in our chat.
Can't think of it.
Chance.
I can't think.
Someone
of it.
says I believe it was Carlos Correa.
Carlos Correa. You're right. Yes, and then that deal fell through because of the medicals again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Well, he had this. Remember, there was an offseason. As I just looked it up, there was an offseason where Steve Cohen spent $806 million. Kind of like the Dodger offseason before the Dodger offseason was the Steve Cohen offseason.
And then that season was a disaster.
But that was a disaster.
And then this past season, they cut back, but
they weren't expected to be very good.
Top 2 in payroll.
But they were, remember, this was supposed to be like the year in which they were rebuilding, and then they ended up in the postseason and played really well.
Yeah. So I think there's a better than 50% chance
that he ends up with the Mets?
He ends up with the Mets. Yeah.
Better than 50%? It's more likely than the Yankees? No. I think they're team 2.
Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. I still think the Yankees
with Landon. That means they have the best chance.
I know it does. Again, my math is really bad.
But you're saying if he goes anywhere other than the Yankees, you could see it be the Mets.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I think he lands with the Yankees. Here's the thing. You own a house, Jim? No, you don't. But here's how to get the most out of your house. You want multiple people putting in a bid. If there's one bidder, you got no chance to drive that price up. Scott Boras knows this. He's played this game a million times. He needs multiple bidders. And if it's Tampa, great. But if it's the Mets, better.
Yep.
Because they have deep pockets.
Steve Cohen is the absolute best person to have
get into the room
to make sure that the bidding is just constantly going up because everybody wants Juan Soto on their team.
Yeah.
And I think Steve Cohen's going to do everything he possibly can to land Juan Soto. So I think this number could get really high.
Yeah, you get into a bidding war. And in New York, I guess that's a possibility with a 25-year-old like Juan Soto. You think he's going to give him the offer on a napkin? Here it is.
He's like, here, I got a deal for you right here.
13, 610.
10, I got 11 for 620.
Yeah.
What do you got?
It's on a napkin.
Dude, could you imagine?
The other news we reported earlier from Kevin Acee was that Jurickson Profar, and this is what he writes, this is what Kevin Acee writes today in the UT, is that Jurickson Profar, here it is. He's testing for agency. People around the league and at least somewhat familiar with the thinking of both sides believe it is unlikely Profar returns to San Diego. So a significant story. That would be a sizable loss, obviously, considering the year he put together, all-star year for the Padres, one of the better outfielders in the National League in 2024. And according to Kevin Acee, maybe unlikely that Jurickson Profar returns to San Diego, where do you then pivot? Are we going back down the Tommy Pham path like we were last offseason?
Tommy Pham.
You know, I mean, they would certainly, if you're moving on from Jurickson Profar, it's because of what he makes. So if he's going to make $15 million a year, you got to go find someone that maybe makes $5 million. Shoot, this last year they paid him $1 million to be their left fielder.
Yeah, and I'm going to look up during the break top outfielders free agency, and I can tell you right now, I just know before even looking at it, the list ain't great, and you need to fill out that left fielder spot.
Yeah,
you need to also fill out the role that David Peralta held for you, unless you're going to decide to give that to Brandon Lockridge, right? But you're going to need to make some moves here to replace these guys on low deals and hope you get not the same production that you got this year from Jurickson Profar, but you're going to need some production from the guys that you go out and sign for low-level deals.
Coming off that heavy Dodgers series. All right, Chris Hodge. Taking Vegas with free picks for our listeners. Nobody gets it. It doesn't even matter. That's next. All right, what if you could be debt-free by this January? Get rid of all that high-interest debt, pay off all your credit cards, consolidate everything into one lower payment. Hey, guys, it's Schaefer. If you're ready to stop stressing over bills, you need to call Loan Pronto right now. With rates at their lowest in 2 years, this is the perfect chance to use your home's equity and save big going into the new year. Loan Pronto has rates with APRs in the low fives, and they're getting homeowners hundreds of thousands out of their home's equity. Homeowners who do this save on average $850 a month. Loan Pronto offers a ton of options, including total refis or their express equity lines of credit. So call now. Get a rate quote in just minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call today, and you won't make a house payment until 2025. LoanPronto.com or 619-207-4336. LoanPronto.com. Free rate quote right now. 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. On approved credit, NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
All right, this update is brought to you by Progressive. San Diego State opened up their season last night with a win, 63-58 over UCSD. Miles Berg with a career night, scoring 20 points in the win. NBA news of the day, Bronny James was sent down to the G League today. He's appeared in only 3 games this year for the Lakers, scoring just 1 basket. Tonight, NFL Thursday Night Football, Bengals at Ravens, 5:15 kickoff. And tonight is the Sean Lewis Coaches Show. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760 starting at 6 p.m. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com. That's progressive.com.
Chris Hodge, takingvegas.com, had an amazing week last week on the show. 3-1 overall. Text line as well. Now, we are so grateful. I wasn't here last week. We told Chris, hey, go in on the bid for us. We did the entire 3-hour show. We wanted to be bitter, angry, petty, and Jim accomplished it. He, in the final 20 seconds of the show, he's like, oh, by the way, before we get to the weekend, the Dodgers won their first legit World Series since 1988. We'll see you on Monday. So, Chris, first of all, thanks for going along with that. Secondly, before we get into all this with the free picks for our listeners here today, what is it like? I mean, you're a diehard Yankee fan. To watch Game 5 play out, I mean, what on earth was that like to experience from a fan perspective? That's like...
You've had a little bit of time to reflect.
That was horrific, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had my wife walking around with a baseball glove, throwing the ball up in the air and catching it and saying, look, I'm better than Aaron Judge. So we had that ironic stuff going on. That 5th inning was among the worst, in terms of a big game, the worst inning I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were doing. And look, when you play an inning that badly in such a big spot, you don't deserve to win. So fan or not, if you're going to drop a ball, if you're not going to cover first base, you don't deserve to win. And they didn't deserve to win. So the Dodgers beat them, and that's the end of it.
No doubt about it. All right, tonight is a really good, by Thursday Night Football standards, this is a huge game in the NFL. Cincinnati and Baltimore, the Bengals and the Ravens from Baltimore, Maryland. How can our listeners get this game from you here tonight, this critical Thursday night game?
Same as always, just text the word WIN to the number 545454. Now, we love this play tonight. This is a big one tonight. Also, tomorrow, because college basketball has come back into our lives, there's a very big game between North Carolina and Kansas that we love as well. So there are 2 games for free. You get one tonight, you get one tomorrow in college hoops. Baltimore, Cincinnati tonight, one of our biggest Thursday night games in a long, long time. We're going to give it out absolutely free. Just text the word WIN to the number 545454. That play will come back to you automatically, and then you'll get the play between Kansas and North Carolina tomorrow afternoon as well.
Looking at college football this weekend, before I ask you about this weekend, what was your thoughts on the new college football playoff rankings this past Tuesday?
You know, I have never paid attention to these rankings this early in the year, ever. Even when they were just 4 teams, because to me, it's just like, it's just for show. Yep. That's all it is. You know, when this, 3 or 4 more weeks into this thing, we'll see. But, no real surprises, to be honest with you. But we'll see how this shapes up in 3 or 4 weeks.
So this weekend, Alabama, LSU, what do you got in that game this weekend?
So this is an elimination game.
Right.
Yeah.
Like whoever loses this game is out. Like they'll have 3 losses. And obviously I had the head loss and that'll be the end of that. So you don't really want to make your living going against LSU at home on a Saturday night because Death Valley just creates all types of problems there. But Alabama is the better football team. They're more complete. They have a better defense. You look at LSU, they just, I believe it was 24 yards on 23 carries against Texas A&M in their last game, which is atrocious. That is so bad. And they're not going to be able to run on Alabama. That said, what happens? Now you have to throw the ball. Nussmeier is pretty good throwing the ball. LSU has a hard time stopping running quarterbacks. For whatever the reason, they just don't play well against them. Alabama has struggled on the road this year. They lost to Tennessee. They gave up 40 points at Vanderbilt. Okay, they beat Wisconsin, but if you're not familiar with that game, Wisconsin lost their starting quarterback very early in that game. So last 2 games, especially in conference play, Alabama hasn't been good on the road. So we're going to stay away from the point spread. I think it's going to be a high-scoring, entertaining game. I think LSU will struggle on defense, and LSU is going to throw the ball all over the place. So 58.5, I'm going to go over 58.5. I think it's a high-scoring, entertaining game, and I think it's going to be a 3-point game either which way, but a high-scoring game. So we'll go over 58.5.
All right, so the over in Alabama, LSU, and the SEC. Again, if you want tonight, plus a college hoops game this weekend and a big one. Tar Heels, Jayhawks. Text WIN, WIN, to 545454. That's WIN to 545454. Now, you have another free pick for our listeners right now. Christian McCaffrey's expected return. Niners, Bucks, Sunday. What's your feeling here?
This is a terrible, terrible spot for Tampa Bay. As bad as it gets. First of all, you have San Francisco coming off a bye and starting to get healthy. Yes, Ayuk is out, but get CMC back. They're getting healthy, and they're off a bye. And last 5 times they've been off a bye, they're 4-1. Tampa Bay, we all just saw it. They played their hearts out on Monday night. I don't know why they don't go for 2. Like, if I'm looking at Pat Mahomes, I'm never trying to give that guy the ball in overtime. But what do I know? I would have never kicked the extra point there. They have a hard-fought loss on a Monday night on the road, and now they got to turn around and play at home against a team off a bye. And by the way, Tampa Bay has their bye next week. So they could be, like, just checked out, because if you look at their last 5 games, Atlanta, New Orleans was garbage, but forget. You have the Ravens, the Falcons again, and the Chiefs, and now the 49ers. That is as tough a stretch of games as you can possibly have. San Francisco is going to be able to run the ball on this defense. They're going to be able to throw the ball, and I think you're going to get a very good version of the San Francisco defense, especially against a Tampa Bay offense that has injuries all over the place pretty much. So, bad spot for Tampa Bay. You get San Francisco under a touchdown. We'll lay the 6 with San Francisco, and I think they win by 14 easily.
I love what you're saying there. Moving over to this whole entire sports world right now here, Chris, how difficult is it for gamblers, during this time of the year with so many different, college basketball, college football, NFL, hockey, NBA? Just how difficult is it for people with so many sports going on at once?
College basketball right now. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I always try to keep things positive in life, right? Just the best way to be. College basketball is impossible the first month of the year, okay? Because if you're betting this and you're not, doing your research or seeking professional help in terms of guys that do research like us, I mean, you got the transfer portal. If you thought it was bad in football, it's terrible in basketball. You got guys that – coming all over the place, and they haven't played in big conferences, and now they're placing them in big conference games, and vice versa. The transfer portal has destroyed college hoops, okay? And then you got guys like just happened in Memphis. I don't know if you heard the story. This dude didn't get his NIL money, and he just opted out, a good player, right before the game began when Memphis played their opening game the other night. So right now you have so much more to factor in to college basketball than you've ever had before. But there is value there, okay? You just have to know where the value is, and that's the service that we provide. That's why we're in business. We do all of this research. If you go out this alone with all of these games and all the times that these sports books want you to bet parlays, forget it. You're going to get hammered. Don't even try. But if you have a patience, discipline, and strategic approach, like we've said on this show for years, you can have success, and that's what we offer. So we're excited to have another season kickoff here, or tip-off, and I think we're going to be good for our clients, as we always are on College Hoops.
So, again, last week for our listeners, 2-0 on the show, on the text line 1-1. Chris was 3-1 for our listeners. If you want the free picks right now, including tonight's Thursday night game, a great game, Bengals-Ravens, and then the College Hoops game on Friday we've talked about, North Carolina and Kansas, all you need to do is text WIN, that's W-I-N, to 545454. That's WIN. Text WIN to 545454. Chris, appreciate it, my friend. Let's do it again next week, all right?
All right, have a great night, guys. Thank you.
All right, great stuff from Chris Hodge at Taking Vegas. Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. I mean, this time of year where everything is being played right now, college basketball, NBA, NFL, college football, NHL, to your point, it is kind of crazy to keep track of it all. It is an intriguing Thursday night game. We've touched on it briefly, this Baltimore-Cincinnati game, where if Cincinnati pulls a road upset, all of a sudden you look at them, you're like, this seems dangerous. They'd be 5-5. They'd be playing better football. So it's probably more important for Cincinnati. You lose your 4-6.
Oh, it's 100% more important for Cincinnati because they started out their season 0-2.
Right.
And the 2 losses. Now, one of the losses actually doesn't look that bad right now. It's the Washington Commanders,
who have played well.
But I think they lost their home opener, or at least the first game of the season, to the Patriots. And you're like, that's bad.
Right.
So starting their season as they did to get back to 500 and continue to improve, and with a healthy Joe Burrow playing well, Jamar Chase, their defense, like, yeah, they could become scary in the AFC, because you know who the only quarterback is to go, one of the only quarterbacks along with Tom Brady.
All right, went to Arrowhead.
Go to Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes. Joe Burrow.
That's right. Yeah, that feels like it has been a while, but truthfully, it hasn't. Just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is still a relatively young quarterback. Yeah, that's a good point. They're a capable team. You probably can't. I mean, if you're 4-6, you're in a bit of trouble. In a 17-game season and you're 2 games under 500, you've played 10 games. So it's a very important game for the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, we've been mentioning the fact that the Aztecs play again next Tuesday night. If you want a chance to win free tickets to that game, you need to call right now. Tuesday night for San Diego State back at Viejas Arena. We have 2 free tickets for one of our callers, 877-767-4760. Call right now. First 2 callers will be contestants. We'll do trivia like we always do at this time. If you want to have a chance to win those 2 free tickets for San Diego State Tuesday night at 7 p.m. at Viejas Arena, call right now. The number, 877-767-4760. First 2 callers will be our contestants. We'll play trivia. We call it Trainwreck Radio. Then Darnay Tripp will join us from NBC7 coming up at 5 p.m. But again, the number to call, do it right now if you want free Aztec tickets, 877-767-4760. That's next on Jon and Jim. All right, very kind by Marty. Now, Ted's still doing season 30. I did it on your review last night. Probably why. Listening to football. More than successful. Marty has been very, very. We have always enjoy her features. I actually told our program director that earlier today. You were there. You were my witness to Marty's features.
I blacked out. I don't know what you said.
Okay. Darnay Tripp has a brand new phone, I'm being told. He'll join us at 5 p.m. to discuss that.
Breaking news. That's why we're having Darnay
That's
on.
what to discuss his new phone. He will join us at 5 o'clock. We'll also talk about the Padres and the Aztecs. He was at the Aztecs game last night. He was on the Zoom or not with Preller yesterday.
He was.
You were there.
He asked the question.
This guy's everywhere.
He just does it all.
He really does a little bit of everything. All right, we have Aztec tickets to give away. Let's do that right now.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Robert and Joey. Robert, you called in first. You have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Jim.
That was like definitive.
Wow,
like,
Robert
Jim.
and
I don't
Jim.
know.
I want Jim. All right. Joey, you get John, okay?
Sounds good. Let's do it, John.
Let's do it.
I like it.
Wait, why did Robert want Jim so much?
I think he says, I don't know. Why did you want me, Robert?
Long-time listener, and I like your insight.
You're the one. All right, let's get to
The
it.
check's in the mail, buddy. Brent, what's the question of the day?
All right, guys. They're going to give away this thing called the Heisman Trophy here pretty soon in college football.
Huh?
Today's question: which 6 college players have the shortest / best odds to win this year's Heisman Trophy? So we're looking for the 6 college players with the best odds to win the Heisman Trophy.
I'm laughing because I know I'm going to let Robert down.
Oh, okay.
Jim just he doesn't know
Really?
which guy he should use for his lifeline. He's got so many
in there.
There is Joey. You're up first. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Now we'll go with Sanders.
Sanders.
Shador Sanders?
Yep.
Okay. No.
It's a good guess.
Good
He's probably
guess.
in that top 10 range, but not top 6.
It's weird. Like he'll be probably a top 10 quarterback, but he won't be a top finalist for the Heisman.
His numbers are pretty gaudy, and the team's pretty good.
Robert, what's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward. Oh,
Correct.
He knows college football.
Yes, he does.
Joey, back to you. What's your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
My bad. I should have did the other guy, Hunter, too. Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter,
Yes,
yes.
Yeah. Robert, back to you. What is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
QB of Org and Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel.
Look at these college football fans.
John's
man.
like, John, you love it.
I love it.
Joey, back to you. You're going to need this to stay in the game. What is your final guess? You do have a lifeline from John if you want to use it.
What's that guy? John, what do we think here?
I mean, I have a guaranteed layup. Ashton Genty, Boise State. Want to take that?
Yes, sir.
Boom.
All right.
Was the front runner at one point, not currently.
Yeah. All right, Robert, bring this thing home. Final guess. You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'll use the lifeline.
Yeah, Jim. Sitting around every Saturday, got the multiple screens set up, catching all the action.
Here comes the insight.
Here it comes, the insight. That's why he chose you.
And this is the 5th and 6th guy too. so.
Perfect. Top 6 players in America, Jim. In America.
Dude.
Can't wait to hear your guess.
Yeah, dude,
Dude, you won't even guess the team.
I won't. Everyone's laughing at me.
I got one.
Robert, I apologize.
No guess?
If I said Jalen Milroe, then you all would be like,
I
huh?
will laugh in your face.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no
'Cause
chance.
that's the only player that I'm thinking of right now, but I know he's not even close to a Heisman. So, yeah, buddy, this is all up to you. My insights.
Do I have to take his answer? Or do I
No,
No,
you can take
no,
your
you
own.
can guess whoever you want.
Man, what about the Indiana QB? Rourke.
Curtis Rourke. Correct. Is it Rourke or O'Rourke?
It's Rourke.
Rourke. Curtis Rourke, IU quarterback.
That's a winner.
The other is are we? Oh, that's a winner.
Yeah, that's a
Nice
winner.
job with the lifeline.
You're welcome.
The other is the Ole Miss quarterback.
I got the position right.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
I could have given you like 3. Could have given you the Cam Ward. I could have given you the Travis Hunter. I could have given you the Ashton Genty. But that's about it. And those were all off the board. Other than that, I was useless.
All right, so we have our 6 and we have our winner.
I want to see what Jalen Milrose done this year.
Well, I mean, his numbers are probably good, but they have 2 losses.
I know
they're not bad. I know that, but all right, congratulations. You have won 2 free tickets to San Diego State against Occidental on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Limited tickets are available at goaztecs.com.
Jalen Milroe is plus
$1 million.
It's 6,500. Yeah.
He's not going to win it.
No.
He's got 13 touchdowns this year, 1,937 yards passing. Good season.
Is there anyone else on the Heisman list other than those 6, Brent? That
380 yards rushing.
He's not winning it.
12 touchdowns on the ground.
Shador is 7th.
Okay.
Other than that, no, not really.
Okay.
Milrose 9th.
Oh, Milrose top 9.
Oh, must be nice, Jim. I'm an idiot after all.
Yeah, you're really not that dumb.
I'm not that stupid.
But like I said, I'm always bad at the plus whatever. It's plus 6,500. Yeah.
So 65 to 1.
Yeah.
Which means he's not winning.
He has the same ads as Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah,
Nussmeier. LSU.
Yeah.
Cade Klubnik of Clemson.
Oh yeah, Cade Klubnik talk.
Yeah, I love him.
All right, coming up next, Darnay Tripp from NBC7. He was at the Aztecs game last night. So was I. Brent was working it. Jim was watching it. Darnay Tripp will join us coming up next. He has a brand new phone. He was also on the Zoom press conference with Mike Schilt and AJ Preller. His reaction to the extension, plus the news that Jerkson Profar might be unlikely to return, according to Evan Acey. What did I call him?
Evan Acey?
Evan Acey?
I don't know. Hour 3, John and
Maybe
Jim.
that's his brother.
We'll kick it off. What's that band called?
Evanescence.
We'll kick it off with Darnay Tripp next.
This update's brought to you by Progressive. We'll start with the Aztecs last night. Picked up a win in their home opener over UCSD, 63-58. Miles Bird had a career night, scoring 20 points in the win. We'll move over to basketball. Bronny James is going to be sent down to the G League. He's appeared in only 3 games this year for the Lakers, scoring only 1 basket. Tonight is the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with Rich, John, and Coach Lewis, starting at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. And tonight, NFL Thursday Night Football, Bengals at Ravens, 5:15 kickoff in Baltimore. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. Now, we started the show by talking about who's considered to be a quote-unquote friend of the show. And at the top of our list was Darnay Tripp from NBC7. Now, we don't know if it's the top of his list. We said that friend of the show, Darnay, was at the top. Like, we rattled off people that come on the show.
I thought we were naming off like 5 or 6, and then finally we got to Darnay.
Hey, Darnay, did you see this? So Darnay Tripp, friend of the show, NBC7 back with
One
us.
of our friends of the show.
Did you see Kevin's report that Jerks and Profar, yada, 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 both sides
That's what it said?
Basically says both sides are thinking it is unlikely Profar returns to San Diego. And then Jim, who all of a sudden became famous, was quote tweeted by Eric Hosmer because he posted that little, I don't know, photo of what Kevin Acee wrote. And Eric Hosmer said, do we think that's because of Profar? As if to say it's the organization without the resources to potentially bring Jerks and Profar back. So do you have any reaction to the report, I guess, from Kevin that it is quote-unquote unlikely that Jerks and Profar returns to San Diego, or reaction to Eric Hosmer quote tweeting Jim Russell?
Yeah, what's bigger? It's a bigger story.
Well, a few things here. I had to go look at Jim's screenshot.
Okay.
And I went initially to look at Hosmer's page, because now that people who have been blocked can still see people's tweets or posts or whatever they're called. I, for some reason, got blocked by Eric Hosmer many moons ago.
Can you see the post?
No, but what's interesting is I could see it like a couple of days ago, I saw it on the desktop version. So I was like, I'm back, baby. I get Hosmer's tweets. And now I can't respond to them or anything like that. Again, falsely accused. I did nothing to deserve this
maybe
life sentence.
He thinks that I'm you. Like, maybe he thinks that all of the like S talk was from you, not me.
No, it's not true. It's not true. And so he should not be interacting with you. If anything, Haas and I should be interacting, because again, falsely accused. I did nothing to deserve the blocking. And so I was very disappointed not to see that, and good to see Haas out there. I was hoping that you were going to say he torched Jim or something, or lit him up for a bad taste.
It's happened, yeah.
It seems like he's just, but I think he's probably on the right track in that it's probably more of a Profar thing than a club thing, because Profar's in a position now to cash in on a big season, kind of on the tail end of his prime. And I think this was kind of my concern all along with Profar, is how much are you willing to spend on him, and what does the market dictate in terms of his worth? And my suspicion all along was that one of my fears was that the market would kind of outprice the Padres, where it got to a point where Jerkson says, look, I haven't really had an opportunity to have a free agency like this, because I haven't had a season like this. So far be it from me to say, you know what, I like being with the Padres. Give me $8 million a year for 3 years, and I'm good with that. Like, chances are that's not going to happen. Players' values tend to get inflated once they reach this point. And so I thought that might happen with him. And it would not surprise me at all if Kevin is right on, like he generally is, with this, the inkling that it might be difficult to steal a term used by AJ Preller for them to kind of line up on an agreement.
Do you feel that if they lower payroll again, and I don't mean lower payroll like they did last year by cutting off 90+ million, I mean like maybe hover around where they were, but like $5 million less. They don't even get close to the CBT number. They make some moves. They had to trade, Luis Ariz because they didn't want to give him $15 million a year in arbitration. They couldn't get a long-term deal done. Do you feel like that would be a step back for this organization? And how do you think fans will react if that were the case?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation because now they can look at it and say, look what we did when we were, operated with a tighter budget. Now, to do so after a season like last year, I think would maybe be a bit of a red flag or discouraging for fans because they were in the upper half of payroll. And it's funny, just had this conversation on the On Fire podcast, and I referenced something that I remember another friend of your show and podcast, Kyle Glazer.
Oh, we love Kyle.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, we love him.
Definitely ahead of me in the list for sure, without a doubt. Much smarter baseball person. But yes. I had him on before the season. He was like top 10 in payroll. That's a contender. You're a legit postseason contender. If you're outside the top 15, then it's kind of dicey. Generally speaking, teams outside of the top 15 aren't equipped to contend unless you just have a magical year where all these low-priced guys put it together.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't really rely on that. And they were 15th this year, and they did pretty well. I would like to see them move up a couple slots, maybe get closer to 10th. CBT, the way it goes, generally goes up year to year. It's at, 244, I think, in 2025. My question is, is the top of the available budget for them the bottom of the CBT, right just south of the CBT? Are they willing to kind of dip their toes and pay some minimal taxes, not blow by it by 15, 20 million, but go across the threshold now that they've reset their penalties? That's what I'm really curious about. And I hope, to get back to your question, that they don't decide to cut even further. And if they decide, hey, we can't lock in Luis Ariz long-term, maybe use those funds to get another corner outfielder, fill out the rotation, get a power bat or something like that, rather than just saving that money and not using it elsewhere.
Yeah, those are good points. Darnay Tripp with us from NBC7, also the On Fire podcast. I have a theory, Darnay. I'd like to share it with you. I don't know if you heard me say it yesterday. My theory is if you've signed Mike Schilt through 2027, AJ Preller is signed through 2027 right now. Agree or disagree?
It feels like a kind of a package deal, right?
Yeah.
And I think we went into year one with Mike Schilt, where if one of them's gone after 2024, they're both probably gone after 2024. So it's hard to imagine, if, a season where things really go south, say, hopefully this doesn't happen, but you have another 2023 season. I could maybe see a situation where you bring in a new general manager. Maybe he's got some history with Mike Schilt and says, hey, I think the clubhouse is in a good place. I respect him where he's what he's done as a manager. So I could maybe potentially see that. But I would think if things really go south, it's kind of a package. I think certainly if Schilt's gone, Preller's gone. If Preller's gone, there's probably an 85% chance that Schilt is gone. And maybe ownership or management is just we can't keep having a revolving door of managers. We like this guy, we like what he's brought to the clubhouse. We just need somebody calling different shots, from a roster standpoint. But that seems, I don't know, it doesn't seem super likely.
We'll get to the Aztecs here in a second. But do you find it to be interesting that Eric Hacienda, I guess now is just the guy going forward? Or is that a question of, who's going to be running this team and who's going to be the owner of this team for the foreseeable future? Because we were all led to believe, I feel like, that he was going to be kind of like a placeholder when they were going to figure things out. Do you feel like that's a question that it should be asked? Hey, what's going on here with ownership?
Certainly, and I think you're right in that when Peter Seidler initially passed away, and it's hard to believe it's been about a year now, almost a year.
A year, yeah.
It was probably just kind of a temporary thing. I feel like as this past year went on, it felt a little bit more, and I can't point to anything or reference anything specifically that's made me feel this way, but feels like it's more of this is what it is now going forward. But it does feel a little bit like it is until it isn't, you know, and like it doesn't necessarily feel like we've gotten, I don't think, any indication that they're out there talking to people trying to figure out what it is. Seems like he's the guy, but I think if at any point we heard that they're trying to sell or maybe not even trying to sell, like keep it within the family but have different leadership, ownership at the top, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. But it is an interesting kind of murky situation, and because we never hear from the guy, it's hard to gauge his interest long term and what his vision is, and you know, just kind of how permanent he is in that spot.
It is incredible, and correct me if I'm wrong, he has spoken with the media publicly one time. That is incredible.
That was spring training last year, right?
That is incredible.
He's a real person,
yeah,
though.
Well, yeah. Prior to that, I didn't know if he was.
Yeah.
All right, Darnay, you were at Viejas Arena last night. I know you've been discussing Magoon Guath a lot here in the preseason and now through the, what was that? Are you booing?
No, I'm going goon.
Oh, goon. Okay. I like that. Thoughts on the Aztecs overall and your thoughts on Magoon Guath and his Aztec and college debut?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like they look like a team that's figuring it out last night. And I think, you know, UC San Diego had something to do with that. And that's a team that should compete in the Big West. What they did defensively clearly threw them a little bit and at least made it uncomfortable for them and difficult for the Aztecs to get into a rhythm. You got a bunch of new guys that are figuring out their role with one another. You know, Dutch mentioned it. I didn't realize that Wayne McKinney missed some time with a hamstring during the preseason. Obviously, Nick Boyd came back about 2 weeks ago. You don't have Reese Waters. You're playing a team that's playing his own. What does Reese Waters do? He shoots. Like, so that probably helps. And there were stretches where it felt like they got decent looks that they weren't hitting, and there were stretches where it just seemed to generate, you know, consistent looks and consistent offense, which, you know, we've probably said that about a lot of Aztec teams in recent years and a lot of Aztec teams that have ended up being really, really good. So I think kind of determining their identity, but it did sort of feel, you know, Dutch ran out some interesting, like very interesting lineups last night. And then it felt like he found the one that clicked when they went with 4 guards and Jared Coleman-Jones and 4 largely experienced guards other than BJ Davis, guys that play defense. There's length there. There's scoring ability there. Miles Byrd was sensational. And I'm sure you've referenced just kind of the historic nature of the stat line that he put up. I mean, that was awesome and great to see for a guy kind of in his breakout year. And so there's potential there. It was cool. So it was cool seeing them like they did what the Aztecs do. They suffocated the team defensively, got out in the open floor, got some easy buckets, got the crowd involved with blocks and steals, and took control of the game largely with what they did defensively that generated some offense. And it was good to see Nick Boyd kind of take over and be the veteran point guard, and whether it's scoring, distributing, kind of making the right plays and the right reads, getting the team settled down. And so I think it went from like okay, this doesn't look great to, okay, that's an encouraging way to start, an encouraging sign, seeing the team kind of figure it out on the fly and execute late in order to put away what's going to be potentially an NCAA tournament team. And I think part of that conversation is like, and I almost asked Brian Dutcher this last night, and maybe I'll give it some time, but I'm kind of curious, like, where are you in the process of figuring out how best to get Magoon Guath involved offensively? Because it felt like a lot of his touches were outside the 3-point line, and he's like, do I ISO? Do I pull this 3? And I don't think it's going to end up looking like that long term. You know, can you get him some post touches? Can you get him? I thought about Matt Mitchell, you know, when he used to kind of ISO from the free throw line. So I'm curious how that evolves over time. You saw his impact defensively, but it's going to be a process with him, seeing how best to use him offensively, where he's most comfortable and where he's most effective.
No doubt that the path ahead here in November is a challenging one, no matter what they did last night. I mean, Gonzaga, Creighton. Did anyone see the Creighton center line last night? Ryan Kalkbrenner?
Yeah, he went 20 for 22 from the field.
49 points. He has faced San Diego State twice in his career. Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Is that good?
49. And Oregon's top 20, and then you might face Alabama or Houston, which are like top 5.
Easy.
I mean, it's a challenge, no doubt. But again, encouraging to at least learn off a win, which is what San Diego State did last night. Darnay, we appreciate it. On Fryer Podcast for our listeners. You're on Twitter. I don't know what your name is on Twitter. Is it at Darnay Trip?
It's just my name. Yeah.
Yeah, Darnay Trip.
Come
That's
on, you
fine.
should know this. He's
Maybe
like our 7th best friend.
I know, but it's not at Darnay Trip SD like Jim.
That's right. Yeah.
Maybe I'll add friend of the Jon and Jim show. To my
Yeah.
Twitter bio.
Put it in your bio.
Yeah. 7th best friend.
Love that. Darnay, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Right behind Kyle Glazer.
Yeah, I should be a few spots behind Kyle Glazer. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
Top 10, though.
Top
You're
10.
top 10.
You're top 10.
Yeah, you're in the first CFP ranking. Thank you, Darnay.
Congrats.
Darnay Trip.
Thanks, guys.
NBC 7. All right, we'll react to some of that on the other side, talking about the Padres payroll situation, whether Jerks and Profar will be back or not. We have Jim's back page still ahead. We are here until 6. It's Jon and Jim. Ha-Seong Kim. Jon and Jim back with you. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, here's some of the talk. Wait, hold on. Let me read something. Here's some of the talk back, Mike. Open the free iHeartRadio app. San Diego. Next, play button. Please wait 30 seconds. Ha-Seong Kim reportedly is receiving interest from the San Francisco Giants. Widely. So what is the report in terms of the desires on both sides of the money that could be afforded?
So from the Athletic, according to sources, Kim has already generated lots of interest in the early days of the agency. Second source of the Giants are focused on signing 29-year-old and also Kim. The Giants appear to be the club most interested in signing the infielder. We could have called this one. Like we even called it middle of last season. Like, where's Kim going to probably go if he doesn't stay here? San Francisco, Jump Lee, Bob Elvin, maybe shortstop.
Okay, so remind me of the relationship between
and we know how much Bob Elvin loves hockey. We know that Giants desperately need to improve their defense up the middle. I mean, if you had for them Matt Chapman, who's arguably the best third baseman in baseball defensively, with Ha-Seong Kim, if he reverts to Gold Glove status, playing back at shortstop. Now that's when he comes back from his injury. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for the Giants, and I would not be surprised if in the next couple of weeks, winter meetings, you see Ha-Seong Kim sign with the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, again, I think Kim did a lot of good here. I think there were some good teams, good moments. He was a plus defender, so to speak. But all things being equal, and when you have to have priorities in a list, I just don't know where he is on my priorities. He's coming off a significant injury. Mm-hmm. He could miss the start of next year. If nothing else, they've seemingly figured out shortstop before. They could tell Xander Bogaerts. In fact, Kevin Acee wrote today that it'll be obviously second or short for Bogaerts, but they're going to have a plan much earlier than the plan of 2024, which was truly like the day spring training started. They will let Xander Bogaerts know this winter what the plan is for him in 2025. So I like Ha-Seong Kim. I think I like Jurickson Profar more, and I think for both of them, I'm unwilling to reach to such an extent that it impacts the rest of my roster, because the Padres are going to be so tight with this payroll that one bad decision, a couple of extra million per year for someone like Ha-Seong Kim, could impact the rest of your roster. So I'm prepared for Ha-Seong Kim to walk, is my point.
And every time you talk about the Xander Bogaerts contract, I feel like it is crying over spilled milk, because there's nothing we can do about it. It's there.
It's just there, yeah.
It's there. It's hindering the team from going out and making legit moves to help them win. In a perfect world, Ha-Seong Kim gets a long-term extension here, like the Jake Cronenworth contract, and Xander's never here. And you're up the middle is Cronenworth and Kim.
Okay.
And that, to me, would have been way better, because offensively right now, you'd look at last year. I mean, last year it's like Ha-Seong Kim and Xander Bogaerts. You put them up, blank. Who is this player? They're not any different.
Mm-hmm.
Now in 2022, Xander had a better offensive season than Ha-Seong Kim, but Ha-Seong Kim also broke out in 2022.
Right.
It's just frustrating, because I would much rather have, for this team, defensive purposes and also the bat. I mean, the bat's not a big difference. Ha-Seong Kim over Xander Bogaerts, but that ain't going to happen. Like, it's a pipe dream to think that Xander Bogaerts ain't going anywhere. If anything, the Padres are banking on Xander to be an all-star next year, because if he's not an all-star, they got problems.
They do. And AJ Preller said yesterday at the GM meetings to Kevin, he says regarding Bogaerts moving to short last year, I think it was cool the way he handled things. I was a little late because we had a lot of questions about the roster. So we'll get to Xander here in a little bit to have the conversation. Be respectful of him. We'll have the conversation with him sooner rather than later. I think...
Man, I hate that contract.
Yeah, I do too. So I'm trying to think, like, what makes the most sense to me from the organization's perspective, knowing they don't have unlimited funds and they've already wasted too much on Xander. I think Xander stays at short.
I do too.
because it addresses short for whatever that's worth. Address, I mean, he's got to play it well, but it addresses short. So I think he likely stays short. Well, not stays, moves to short, which also calls into question. But yeah, it's a weird contract. And we talk about all these payroll issues because of this Xander contract. I mean, you can look at anything and say, well, they're all a factor, but this Xander contract is such a significant factor right now and into the future as well.
So here are the free agent shortstops right now.
Yeah.
Willie Adames,
Not happening.
not happening, and he received a qualifying offer. Ha-Seong Kim, Jose Iglesias, Kevin Newman, Ahmed Rosario, Nicky Ahmed, Brandon Crawford, Anderson.
Nick?
I mentioned outfielders. I never
Right. We never
fully-
paid that off.
We never paid that off. I'll pay it off here.
Yeah. Outfielders that are free agents?
Yep. Here's the free agent list for left fielders. All right.
Mhm.
Tyler O'Neill, probably going to cost more than a 1-year, $5 million deal. He had a
Mhm.
good season last year. 3.1 WAR. Profar, Mark Canha, Michael Conforto. I like
Yeah.
kind of like that. Alex Verdugo, kind of like that. Tommy Pham,
Mm.
Travis Jankowski, you can come home again. Austin Slater, Jesse Wanka, Adam Duvall, David Peralta. That's Eddie Rosario, who had a negative WAR last year. And then right fielders like Soto, no. Santander, no. Oscar Hernandez, no. Max Kepler, no. Jason Hayward, no. Randall Grichuk, no.
Is the outfield for the Padres in 2025 going to play out like 2024? You're just waiting, man. You're waiting out the bottom half of free agent outfielders and wait for someone to have a deal not develop. That's basically what happened with Jurickson Profar. He didn't get what he thought he deserved. He came back hat in hand right before the season, and that's how they got it done. Incentive-laden deal that paid him $1 million in 2024. I'm not saying they're going to pay their left fielder $1 million next year, but I think it might be closer to $1 million than it would be to $15 million, which is what Profar might get next year.
Would you take a flyer on a guy who had a really good postseason, just won a World Series with the Dodgers,
Mm.
can play everywhere? He's not a real big name, but he's torched the Padres. Do you know who I'm guessing or who I'm saying right now? Can you guess?
And this would be an outfielder?
He had a very, very subpar year last year, but he wouldn't cost you a lot. He had a 1.3
Kike
WAR.
Hernandez because of his postseason success?
No, not just because of his postseason success. I'm just saying because you can put him in the outfield. You can put him at, shorts. You can put him at third. You can put
I don't really see the match. I don't see it happening. I don't see Kike Hernandez as a Padre. I could be wrong. What did he make last year?
$4 million.
Right. So reasonable. That's interesting. And again, a flair for dramatic is putting it lightly.
Yeah.
For what he's done in the postseason.
He's 33. Could you see maybe Manny Margot returning to San Diego?
That's an interesting name.
Yeah. I think if I were to choose right now or see right now outfielders that make sense, won't cost you a lot. There's not really many good. I hate to do this. Jesse Winker?
No.
Okay.
Just on principle, right? It's just annoying.
Alex Verdugo?
I don't even know if it'll be interesting to see what the options they have, truthfully.
Try to bring back David Peralta at 37 years old.
Not to play every day.
No
way. All right, more on that. Free agent possibilities for the Padres with the offseason now underway. The GM meeting's wrapping up in Texas. Jim's back page. We're here until 6. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Progressive. There you go. Keep that on. San Diego State last night in their home opener beat UCSD 63-58, improving to 1-0 on the year. Miles Bird scored a career-high 20 points in the win. We're 30 minutes away from the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with Rich, Sean, and Coach Lewis right here on San Diego Sports 760. NBA news of the day, Bronny James has been sent down to the G League. He's appeared in only 3 games this year for the Lakers. And we are underway in Baltimore as the Bengals are taking on the Ravens for Thursday Night Football. Bengals have a 7-0 lead with 9:23 left in the first quarter. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com. That's progressive.com.
All right, we're discussing free agent options potentially for the Padres. Earlier today, saying it was unlikely that Jordan Profar would return to the Padres. That doesn't mean he's not returning. Unlikely could be 51-49. Unlikely. Usually, when there are reports of unlikely to return, that means more often than not that player. But then what was interesting, we referenced this with Darnay. Eric Hosmer quote tweeted you, and you had posted the story from Kevin Acey, and Hosmer put it on the organization, like essentially saying Profar would like to be here. They don't have the money to do it, right?
Someone in the comment like, yeah, bro, because you're taking up $12.5 million from the Padres next year.
They don't have money because of you.
Yeah, you're the problem, Eric.
Yeah.
Not the organization you are.
It's absolutely not the players. I mean, you'd like to see the player produce. They have small deals. Oh, I should have taken less. Nobody's ever thought that.
I'm not like getting mad at Xander Bogaerts.
Where's the organization?
Yeah, the organization. What the hell, man? What the hell was that? I hope he does. Then you listen to the temperature of the nature of that contract. If it doesn't, it's going to make it a lot more worse.
A lot more work. That's just a lot worse. So I asked Jim at the break real quick. I said, what's the nickname of the team playing football? It's Coastal Carolina against App State. And I let him look at the logos. He saw the logos. He said, you know Coastal Carolina's nickname? And he's like, no. And I told him, do you know what it is, Brett? Pirates? Chanticleers? Players? He said he would have he could have spent the rest of his life in this room saying words and he would never have gotten the word because who's ever heard of that?
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And what is that?
A bird?
It's a rooster, either a male or
okay.
female or angry or something.
As I say, and is that a pirate?
No, it's not a pirate. Okay. Anyway, I don't know why I reference it.
There would be a less than 0% chance that I could have guessed that.
Correct.
Like
I love the nickname game.
I know you do.
It's my favorite thing.
Why don't we do it on the show?
We just did. Coastal Carolina.
There you go.
Chanticleers.
Do
you know here? There's 2 college games tonight. Do you know App State? No, you don't.
Mountaineers?
Correct.
Yes.
Do you know Florida Atlantic?
They're a bird.
FAU.
Yeah. Florida Atlantic University.
Falcons?
No, their nickname is not the university.
Are they a bird? Is it a
the
bird?
Owls. They played San Diego State in the Final
bird.
Four. And then East Carolina.
Oh, the Pirates.
Yeah,
there we go.
The reason why I know that
because of
is
Aaron.
because of Aaron.
She went there. Yeah. Back to Padres free agency. So people are reacting, by the way, in the text line, and you can 70470 start it with team. 858 says Kike is a Padres hilarious. Come on, Jim.
Hey, dude, I'm trying to create solutions here, and by throwing out just names, I'm not.
No, it's
not advocating for it. I just said, what about Kike?
858 then says Verdugo is money, but he's costing at least 10 to 15 a year. And at 10 to 15 a year, you have an internal option potential. Well, you have Jerkson Profar.
Yeah,
at 10 to 15 a year. I think they're coming in cheap like they did in 2024 is my guess. With one of these starting outfield spots, aka left field.
Yep.
That's my guess.
I do too.
They're going to do the exact same game with a new outfielder, though.
Now, does the outfield spot have to be filled through free agency, or could you find a way to trade for an outfielder?
Absolutely. Absolutely could trade. Yes, 100%.
What do you think the odds are better of happening? They trade for an outfielder to be the starter for next year, or they sign an outfielder?
I think if you're trading, I'm thinking starting pitching before I'm thinking outfield. but I think it's a distinct possibility. I put nothing past AJ Preller. If they sit down next week, which is reported by Kevin, to come up with a payroll number, Eric Katsenda, Eric Grupner, AJ Preller will take that information and use it to his advantage. If he only has so much wiggle room, it might be via trade. If he has a little more room to work with, maybe he's more active in free agency. Preller will have an answer. I don't know if it's going to be the right answer, but he will have an answer. Remember, we spent all of last season, we used to joke about it. Will they have a left fielder? Of course they will. Preller will have an answer. We may not love it. I don't think in real time people were enamored or in love with Jurickson Profar. It was fine. It was it was fine.
It was like hey, vibes are good with Profar back.
Yeah, hey, he hasn't hit in a couple of years, but he's been better here than he's been elsewhere. So,
do you think when Profar inevitably signs with another team, do you think that his time with his new team, if he does leave, it'll be viewed as like that was a mistake? You should have stayed in San Diego.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance of it. Now, do you think that if let's say he goes to the Nationals, who are like an up and coming team, right?
Okay, yeah.
I'm just making it up. He goes to the Nationals, and of course, the Nationals are the team that took exception with what he did, so it's unlikely. But whatever. Right. Do you think he goes to the Nationals, and then what if he does the same thing? Then is he going to be like Johnny Tough Guy against the Padres? Not that he's necessarily Johnny Tough Guy. A lot of stuff kind of happened to him that he reacted to. He didn't start the Will Smith thing. He didn't call himself irrelevant. Someone else called him irrelevant. He didn't start the whole brouhaha with the Nationals.
No,
they took exception.
It just sucks because Profar and San Diego
are made.
It just fits. Like his time here, this is the place where he has performed the best in his entire career.
Yeah, you can pull the numbers up.
Other than Oakland, when he was with Melvin, in what was
when he was really young, right?
2018, 2019, 25, 26. He had back-to-back seasons of 20 home runs. And those were his two best seasons until he got here to San Diego. And then 2020 was really good on a short season, only 56 games. 2021, not so great. Actually, it was really bad. And then 2022, he had his breakout season with the Padres. And then, of course, he went to Colorado, then came back for, I think, 14 games he played
September,
here. Yeah, he hit 295 in 14 games with the Padres. And then, obviously, last season was his all-star year. He's played his best baseball here in San Diego. He's been here since he was 27 years old. And you're like, what has he accumulated? He's accumulated 3, 6, 7. He's accumulated almost an 8 WAR, but as his time with the Padres
in like 3 years.
Yeah, and his career WAR is 8.4.
So he's done all of his damage as a Padre.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah,
that is a reason for me to return if I'm Jurickson Profar, but not to be stupid. I mean, you can't return if you're not getting near the same money by going elsewhere. That's just how life works. You're not coming back if you can get double the money somewhere else. No. So that's what he's maybe balancing or entertaining, but he's got to think, why would you take the 1-year prove it deal and then prove it and then take $1 less? If you think about it, he just took the 1-year prove it deal, proved it. Now he's going to take a discount. That doesn't make any sense.
And it wasn't really a 1-year prove it deal. It was like,
it was just a 1-year. Can you stick around in the big leagues?
Yeah, can you stay in baseball?
Your career's on the line entering the season. If the guy hits 158,
he's done
out of the gates. He's never getting another job. But he didn't do that. So if I'm Jurickson Profar, I have to have a payoff after that year. And that's what Kevin AC basically was reporting today, that it's unlikely Profar returns to San Diego. All right, on the other side, by the way, your Chanticleers are up big on App State tonight.
I love it.
At the end of one. About to be up 21-0.
Is that a teal field?
It's a teal field, yeah. Coastal has a teal field kind of replicating what Boise did with blue because they have a teal
I don't hate it.
Color combination. Yeah, I forget what they call it. It's like they have like a saying for teal.
You got to score a touchdown there, my guy.
Score. He
can't trip over the line there.
Yeah,
look at him. He was celebrating a touchdown.
Like turquoise. You're thinking of like another name for teal.
No, they have like a saying like Boise State calls it on the blue, and then like in Coastal they say something about teal, like teal power or something. It's not that. All right, Jim's back page is next. All right, Sean Lewis Show, myself, Rich Ornberger, head coach of the Aztecs. That'll begin tonight at 6 in about 13 or so minutes. Tomorrow night, Aztecs and New Mexico. Kind of a must-win for both teams. San Diego State 3-5, New Mexico 3-6. New Mexico sneakily good. No, but I think it is one of the top-scoring teams in the country. 480 yards of total offense per game, I think, is top 10 in the country for the University of New Mexico.
Is that good?
It is for them, for the Lobos. Pre-game coverage at 5:30, kickoff at 7:30. But again, to break it all down, we'll catch up with Sean Lewis coming up in about 10 or so minutes. All right, Jim has been preparing all day for this moment, so let's get to it. I don't even get that open. That soundbite. What's happening there?
I don't know.
I've been meaning to ask you for 3 years.
I didn't make it.
But Brent, tell me what's going on there.
I didn't make it either. Kyle made it. That's how old it is.
Kyle?
Yeah.
Englehart?
Well, no, the other Kyle.
Was he here when
Kyle.
we had this show?
He wasn't here when we had the show.
No, but that clip has been here forever.
Okay, so that exact soundbite you're saying.
Yes, because he's used it for another
And the
thing.
soundbite is in what reference to Jim's back page?
I have no idea. I don't listen.
I don't know. I think it's just some. I don't know who the player is. He's making an excuse for why it wasn't his fault that he sucked. You know, it was the turf's fault.
And how does that have anything to do with Taco Bell chicken nuggets stories?
It really doesn't. We did update that.
Honestly, I don't think we knew how much Taco Bell chicken nuggets.
We need to update it.
Stuff
That was
we're
my
going to
point.
get in Jim's back page. You know, it's kind of evolved from, hey, what's in deep space that's going to kill us in 5 billion years?
Right.
To
Chicken
hey,
nuggets.
guess what's at Crumble Cookie this week?
Yeah, I've evolved.
All right.
I've evolved.
What do you got today?
Wendy's, John,
Oh, okay. Wendy's.
is dropping a new mushroom bacon cheeseburger
Okay.
on November 12th. The new burger features monster cheese, bacon, roasted
What kind of cheese?
What kind of cheese?
Munster.
That you refer to as Monster?
I didn't say monster.
Yes,
I said,
you did.
No, you did.
said
Play it
you
back.
did.
monster.
You called it
It's
Monster.
monster. But
Monster.
Yeah, you said monster.
No, I said monster.
Remember what I said?
Hey,
a
you
month
just said
ago?
it again.
Monster. Monster.
Okay, that's fine. Remember what I said about the show a month ago? Turn the back page. His show. Okay,
show
Monster.
sucks.
The show sucks. All right, let's hear it. Monster cheese. Yeah, I think it's just actually the way he says it.
Okay.
I really do. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm taking your side now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't.
Yes, I'm giving you a break on
I
that.
hate you.
Yeah, no, I'm on your side.
Monster cheese.
I would say Monster. Yeah.
Yeah. Bacon, roasted mushrooms, and a garlic spread.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That sounds awesome. I was waiting for you to ruin it by saying there's some sort of onion on it. There's not. That's awesome.
Well, the garlic spread might have onion in it. I don't know.
I doubt
Garlic
it.
and onion spread.
Well, you could do roasted garlic and like roasted
Yeah.
onions.
No, I know.
But as of right now, Brent, does not look like there's any onions on this burger. It is just a burger patty, cheese,
Do they have it yet?
bacon.
November
and
12th.
November 12th.
So that is days away.
And
Oh, that's the same day.
mushroom.
Deadpool Wolverine hits Disney Plus.
Perfect.
And the San Diego State's next home game.
There we go.
Get it on your way in.
All right. Saturday, John, is National Fried Chicken Sandwich Day.
Okay.
Here are the 8 best fast food deals to get some free and cheap chicken sandwiches to celebrate. You can get a free chicken sandwich with any chicken sandwich purchase using the free Sammy code at Wingstop.
Okay.
McDonald's, you can get a McCrispy for $2 in the McDonald's app. No other purchase required. So $2 McChicken or McCrispy, excuse me. Popeyes, you can get a free sandwich with a $10 purchase in-app. You can get a free Royal Crispy Chicken sandwich with a $5 purchase at Burger King. You can get a free chicken sandwich with a $10 purchase at Shake Shack. You can get a free Cluck Chicken sandwich with a $1 purchase in-app at Jack in the Box. You can get a free Famous Star or chicken sandwich with any purchase of $1 at Carl's Jr. within the app. And then you can get a free chicken sandwich with any $1 purchase at KFC in the app. By the way, all of these are like app related. So download the
no
app.
Chick-fil-A.
That is a great.
That is a good
They're
call.
They're the only
Brent.
chicken sandwich place. It's like, hell
no,
with it. We don't care if
we're
it's
good.
National Chicken Day.
What about Taco Bell?
I don't have I don't have.
Do
it on
they
this
need
list.
to? Because it's so big. You wonder if they need the offer.
Maybe National Chicken Day is on Sunday.
Maybe.
That's interesting.
And it's not open.
Yeah, and then they're not open.
Or this is on Saturday.
Okay, so no. Okay.
Saturday, November 9th.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Interesting. The Starbucks holiday menu dropped today, John.
Oh, there's some new items?
Some new items.
A lot?
This is the day that all of all the girls,
all of Aaron has been waiting for.
Aaron is
and
waiting for,
Kristen,
yeah. Because it's now the holiday cup season.
Oh, it's the red cup?
It's the red cup. It's also the festive cup. It's also the Christmas cup.
Yep.
So all the drinks are now in festive cups.
They're so much tastier. They're so tasty.
Yeah, only if you get like hot drinks, not the cold ones. But here are some menu items, or the new menu items that dropped today at Starbucks. You can get an iced gingerbread oat milk chai latte.
That actually that's up my alley.
I need that, actually.
Yeah.
You can get a sugar cookie almond milk latte.
Okay.
You can get a caramel brulee latte with whipped cream, peppermint mocha, chestnut praline latte, a new cranberry orange refresher, a cranberry drink. You can get a holiday cream cold foam, gingerbread, chestnut praline, sugar cookie, and caramel brulee. So food items at Starbucks are a new turkey sage Danish, a sugar plum cheese Danish, cranberry bliss bar, a new dark toffee bundt cake, a new penguin cookie, and a new snowman cake pop.
They have turkey flavored donuts.
It was a Danish?
It was a Danish.
It was
so it's almost like a pastry.
But yeah.
A Danish is
a
donut.
it's a good point.
We don't need to fancy it up here. A Danish is a donut.
I feel like
it's not as sweet, though.
It's maybe. Do you
I wouldn't think I'd get like a turkey flavored
either
one
way.
though.
Did they get a little cute with the menu?
No?
Yes.
With the food menu seemed a little cute.
I actually would try this turkey sage Danish.
Danish?
Danish. I would try the turkey sage Danish.
God Danish.
Is it available now? You're saying?
Yes, it just dropped today.
Today
Today's the day.
Let's go over there.
Go to
That's what
Starbucks.
I'm saying. All right.
Holiday season's upon us. Even
Do
though
they
we've
have
got
the chicken
Thanksgiving yet.
sandwich for this Saturday?
No, they don't.
Jeez.
They don't. But I tell you what, that iced gingerbread oat milk chai latte.
That sounds really good.
Dude.
I just got Kristen a $20 gift card. Is there sugar in this?
You think?
Iced gingerbread oat milk chai latte. Yes.
Yeah, sugar overload. Give a sip to Jones. He'll be up
I want
all
to
night.
I want to drink this right now.
It looks so good.
It looks really good.
Looks delicious.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll go to Starbucks and Aaron will order this and then completely modify.
You put a ham sandwich in it, and I want a chicken sandwich. Thank you.
Yeah. She goes, "That's a great drink. Can I get that? But instead of this, can I get that?
Yeah,
And can I get one
Kristen's
pump
the
instead of
same
three
way.
pumps? And then can I get this instead of that?" I'm like,
What?
Oh, man.
I know.
And then she asked me, "Can you go get me this?" And I'm like, you need to write this down.
I can't work at Starbucks.
No,
Everyone's got
no.
their own personalized order.
It's never just
It's never
simple.
just exactly.
Never simple.
It's never give me a burger with fries. Sean Lewis show is coming up on the other side tomorrow. San Diego State football at 7:30. We have Jon and Jim beginning at 3 p.m. It's the Aztecs and New Mexico. If you missed anything today, go to sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app. For Brent and Jim, I'm Jon. Keep it here. Sean Lewis show is next on San Diego Sports 760.
Okay, peace out. Bye.